very horrible noise making.
Going to the countdown.
Hey, please stop licking my leg. It's very confusing.
My shoulder. We're not live just yet. I'm gonna switch the.
What did you do to your shoulder?
My shoulder's been real jacked up. Hang on, let me get this before I distract myself. This is episode 28, I think.
Yes.
Oh my god. The dashboard is different. I don't know what to do.
Dashboard for what? Twitch?
The Twitch dashboard. I edit stream info. Episode.
Problem is insurmountable.
What the fuck?
I guess we just have to kill ourselves.
I am not on. That's why I'm not on the proficiency bonus one. I'm on the Tabletop Legends one.
Cancelled.
Cancelled.
Well, the good news is that you said T minus 1 hour at 6:19, so we still have 15 minutes.
Yes. / proficiency bonus / dashboard. Oh no, this one's different too. Yeah. What do I do? Uh-oh. This keeps rerouting me to Tabletop Legends' stream manager instead of the proficiency bonus one.
Are you... Do you still have the Prebo login? Or are you doing like the weird...
I've always just been able to go to the dashboard, like the Twitch dashboard.
So it's something that happened this week, but it's entertaining to me.
How dare you? Every time I put proficiency bonus dashboard, it's like, did you need Tabletop Legends dashboard? Why don't we go to that one?
No, you didn't!
That's not what I meant.
Adam, Carlos, and Becker, you guys all went through the home button process, right?
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
So there's going to be a question.
There is a question, but like
Do I kill myself now or later?
It's pretty much that. Yeah. Like I'm going through it because I was like, I'm tired of being in an apartment, and like I started with qualification stuff. I have to finish the paperwork, and then I finished the paperwork. And more paperwork to finish to get pre-qualified. The letter that says I'm pre-qualified.
Hey there, everyone.
Matt. So that I can go look at a house to see if I can like the house. Then we have to talk about whether I can afford the house and if they agree to the price. So it's just.
So, one thing that I didn't...
We are streaming.
This one.
Just so you know.
Yeah.
Real mean killer. We are streaming.
We're streaming. Oh.
So here's a good meme for you. It says, y'all remember Disney XD? What was that? That's a picture of the Disney XD logo, and somebody says, I used to think that was Disney, but for people who could skateboard.
It wasn't?
I thought that was what Kim Possible was.
I think like they were advertising with like Mickey Mouse and skateboard.
Yeah.
Like knee pads.
What did the XD stand for?
Extra Disney? Extreme Disney?
Extreme
Yeah,
Disney?
I think it was Extreme Disney.
But that's redundant. It's
Quasimodo
Disney
in a
Extreme
Gimp
Disney?
mask.
That's stupid.
Yeah, well.
We have Google, we have the power.
The same thing when people say ATM machine.
That's
You're
true.
saying ATM.
Or ISBN number.
What did the... Wow, alright, let's play a term called What Does Google Think I'm Asking? What did Michael Vick do?
Oh,
Not great.
not good things.
What did Christopher Columbus do? Not great
Also
either.
not good things.
Oh, that
What did Nick Cannon do? Man,
Oh, Nick Cannon's isn't so bad.
Nick Cannon tried to make fun of Eminem
Yeah.
and got
Yeah.
absolutely dunked on by the
Yeah,
internet. from
yeah.
what
He
I
tried to
heard.
make fun of Eminem. He didn't
What did the
hurt a bunch of
XD
people or dogs like the first two. So.
What did the XD in Disney XD stand for? Disney XD carries the same name as an unrelated mini site and media player on Disney.com, which stood for Disney Extreme Digital.
Okay.
But that wasn't the channel.
What's the channel?
It said it was unrelated.
It says shares the same name.
As
So
an
it was
un-
a channel.
Oh, though it has been stated that the XD in the channel's name does not have an actual meaning.
Okay.
You know what? I don't accept that.
We're gonna go with
You can't
extra
just have
Disney.
words without meaning. That
We're
doesn't
gonna go
make
with
any
extra
sense.
Disney.
If
Gotcha.
Disney extra Disney. Because that's better than nothing.
If
See,
you,
that's when you go to the parks after dark. You go, I need the extra. And what? Their eyes just change of color and they go, follow me.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell my story that I was waiting for the stream to tell. So last week I ordered a Christmas present for my friend. I ordered a watch from Tommy Wiseau's website. Okay.
Awful. All right.
Yes.
This is starting off
Tommy
great.
Wiseau of the Room fame and internet fame.
Oh, hi, Mark.
And I also, because there was an extra deal, an extra like $10, you could get a Tommy bobblehead, so we did that as well. So it arrived yesterday, and the box is a lot bigger than it should be. So I open it up, and inside the box is not only one, but two bobbleheads,
Cool.
the watch that I ordered, a completely different second watch that is not a watch that is on the internet on the website. So this is a special watch you can't even buy, and then a signed card of a photo of Tommy Wiseau inscribed to me that said "Love is blind, love Tommy Wiseau."
I mean, that seems pretty par for the course.
And I was
like,
for,
that sounds
the Tommy
100%
Wiseau
And
That's
then
right.
the back of the card is an ad for his underwear brand. So it was the best Christmas that I've ever had in my
What
life.
is Tommy Wiseau's underwear brand?
He just
comes
has
pre-skid marked.
no. It's actually just like generic
I'm
looking.
not up to date on my
It's
Tommy
actually just-
Wiseau lore.
It's actually
apparently.
just generic looking
I'm-
boxers that say Tommy Wiseau on them.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just picturing the old Tommy Hilfiger commercials, except it's scenes from the room,
They-
and everyone's.
I
in
went
their
down a
underwear.
real weird rabbit hole where I watched like an hour-long compilation of like "Oh Hi Mark" mashup memes.
You know what's gonna be weird if he like finds this stream somehow,
Have you
heard
seen-
that story, and like comments on our
Have
stream.
you seen the one
Hey, that could be
where the
with
guy
the
makes
one
the
thing that
Oh
makes- that
Hi
brings us
Mark
to-
piano?
There's an
They-
Ohio Mark piano.
There's a guy, he's created a piano that every key on the piano is Oh Hi Mark at a different octave, and he plays it
Nice.
just like the guy who created the Furby organ.
That I've seen.
I've seen
Wait,
Uh,
what?
It's an organ made out of Furbies.
Suddenly, I'm
Like,
oh god.
A playable organ.
It
Or
is
the-
exactly as nightmarish as you're
Yeah.
imagining it to be.
So this is
In case
like
you were
the
wondering.
Owen Wilson wow at different octaves too.
Wow.
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 Wow. Wow.
Alrighty. Hey.
It's a black screen.
Wow. Tabletop Legends.
Wow. Hi. Welcome to Jesus. Welcome to Tabletop Legends. It's Tuesday, and we are back at it again with discussion of internet memes from 2014. Heyo. And Jason,
Wow.
as usual, goddamn second I turn the stream on, gets up, has to do something for some reason.
As a prop that is concerning.
It's a prop from
I am worried about that.
It's fine.
Wow.
How are you?
Hello, everybody.
Worry about something up for later.
The remainder of this evening's episode will be done entirely in Owen Wilson voice, so click away now. You might be noticing that it says "We Met at Tavern" episode 7 down there. That's not what it is. I just can't get the title of the thing to change, and until somebody who's better than me at everything fixes it, this is what it says. But we are Tabletop Legends. This is episode 28.
Nice.
Yes, that seems like a thing I should know.
It's only
Otherwise known as part 3 of our adventure arc, Precipice of Oblivion. Thank you for joining us. If you are watching live right now on Twitch, here on Proficiency Bonus, if you have not already done so, please follow and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us out. We desperately need attention and validation. We also have a bunch of other good content that's not today that you can watch on this channel. If you are watching this at a later date, either on Twitch or on YouTube. You can subscribe and hit the notification icon there to follow our junk.
Smash that like button.
Smash that. Never gets old.
Wow, smash the like
Wow, you can subscribe.
Is there an Owen Wilson ASMR video yet? Because I feel like that's a corner of the internet.
I hope not.
That is nightmare fuel.
Wow, ASMR
That's not
with Owen
all
Wilson.
I think
Luigi?
by saying those words, you willed it into existence.
It didn't exist until I said
It also has an associated soundboard.
it. Somewhere, Owen Wilson is like, wow. He goes and gets a camera. And he goes and gets a camera.
There you go. I like the claim you're making that Owen Wilson doesn't own a camera.
Goes and gets a camera. He's not like,
He'll just go up and Jack Black.
as in like not like went out and buy one. It's just
I
like,
thought you were
I guess he has a phone that
Yeah,
he could do.
That was the closest we've come to getting through an intro without getting sidetracked by a name bullshit that I've ever seen. We got through all the stuff we had to get through, and we're ready to
Talk
start
about our
our
sponsors.
We will hear about our sponsors during the mid rolls.
Wow.
So that's why that's why
I
I made that video so that I don't have to remember to do it in the beginning of the show.
Just give a little bit of room in case you need to chuck something at him.
That's my goal, is to fit that in everywhere.
There
I
you
can.
go. We are in the city of Adricholm in the northern kingdom of Voland, where the party has been dispatched on a task for Dimios Themeron to seek out and assist an old acquaintance of his, one investigator, Lucius Harken, who works for a peacekeeping organization, sort of the privatized police up in the city. We left off last time. The party has just spent sort of their first complete day and are rapidly working their way later into their first night in Adricholm, where they just dumped a bunch of jingly sacks of things onto the table while I was talking.
Expecting to be quiet. Right?
They discovered upon arrival at the city that Investigator Harken, though he had reached out to Dimios Themeron about 3 weeks ago, had actually been apparently let go from the Chimerapalta peacekeeping force almost 3 months ago. No one at the station would really tell them why. They did get a tip on a bar that he liked to drink at. They went to find him there and heard from the bartender that he had not been there for a number of weeks. But they convinced the bartender to give them directions to his residence, convincing him that they did indeed have Harken's best interests at heart and were concerned for him, as was the bartender, who was a somewhat of a longtime friend, as Harken had been a regular patron. They went to Harken's apartment, found it empty, having been not occupied. They gleaned for some time, not like months, but at least probably days, maybe a week or so. There they found a couple of critical pieces of information. One, they found a piece of paper instructing, or a piece of paper written apparently by Harken, with the name of an establishment called the Harpsichord, and a line of instructions saying to speak a certain passphrase. The DM forgot to put his phone in airplane mode. Wow. They also found some information in like a hidden compartment, a little bit about Harken's past, and a hastily copied case file of an investigation into the recovery, the location and recovery of a young woman taken out with Chimerapalta by somebody, a man sharing the same last name, based out of Nistrin, another city in Adricholm. They followed their lead to the Harpsichord, which turned out to be a... What is happening?
Found something.
turned out to be a brothel, sort of a flop house slash house of ill repute type of place. They went there. They spoke the passcode that they had seen on the piece of paper in Harken's establishment, in his home, and then things got real suspicious and then real fighty very fast as a bunch of cloaked, masked, robed figures came bursting out of the lower level of the establishment and attacked them with almost manic abandon. An outside figure came bursting into the establishment during their fight and assisted the group in finishing off the last of these individuals. And when the fight settled down, they discovered that it was in fact Investigator Harken himself. And quickly they did as thorough a search of the establishment as they were able to do in the couple of minutes before they had to beat feet out of there before the authorities arrived. And they discovered that on the corpses of the black-clad figures beneath their garments, they were all wearing lengths of chain wrapped around their bodies, similar to what they had seen on the crazy religious fanatic earlier in the day out by the portal transit station. They also bore signs of extreme what looked like self-harm, as if they had inflicted grievous injuries upon themselves over and over again for some reason. And we pick up as the group is in the process of getting the hell out of there. So, I will open the app that I swore I had open, but apparently didn't. And I believe that Walter and Alar have both disguised themselves magically. Yes?
Yes, as a whatever commoner I saw in a completely different part of the city.
Sure.
And also as a common worker looking very tired rather than a very bloody half-elf.
Real loud.
Disguise self doesn't get the blood off my hands.
Out damn spot. That's Shakespeare for you, ladies and gentlemen. Culture, you nerds.
Alright,
Well,
it's not
it
showing
looks
up
like
on my
something
screen, but
Shakespeare.
apparently they fixed it for us.
Overall.
Thanks, Bliss Greybeard. You're my hero. This is still too loud.
Wow.
Wow! The Irish subtitle's right.
Wow, thanks, Blitz Great, man. Wow.
I'm getting more of a Peter Griffin than Owen Wilson.
I'm glad those are fixed so you can actually pick that up now.
It's probably best that it doesn't pick it up. I just have to hear it.
Sued for libel by Owen Wilson's
So,
estate.
yeah, we are beating feet.
Out on the street, Harken leads you away from the harpsichord, and on about a 10-minute brisk walk. He seems to weave his way through side streets and back ways, staying off of main thoroughfares, as those of you who are not disguised are covered in various viscera and signs of battle, as a good number of you took a pretty severe beating at the hands of some of these black-clad figures. At one point, the only point in your brief walk that you come across an authority figure. It is a blue and gold and orange Chimera Palta clad individual. It's like a portly human who just appears to be like on rounds, although Harken quickly like diverts to a side street and leads you away from him, staying out of sight. He eventually leads you to a shabby-looking row home, still down in Mud Bottom. So still, you were like here-ish.
It's so bright.
You were like here-ish. He's led you a little ways this way. So not his residence, a different establishment. He leads you to a shabby-looking row home in Mud Bottom, and he heads around the back of this building. He then ascends a rickety set of steps which lead to an entrance on the 3rd floor of the building. He kind of beckons you up after him. He removes a key from inside his cloak, uses it to open the door, and he just goes in, and he just leaves the door open behind him.
I will press my way in.
Same.
Rolling perception to see whether we've picked up a tail at any point.
Sure.
That's a 25.
You don't think so? Pretty sure
I'm
you guys made a clean
I'm
getaway.
gonna usher the other ones to head in, and once everyone else has gone in, I will close the door behind me.
All right. Inside is a small room. It's not much bigger than his tenement apartment that you guys had been in before, though it is actually furnished more like completely than his own living space was, though not nicely by any stretch of the imagination. The furniture in here is definitely old and worn and a little run down. The only things in the room that actually look like they're maybe personal items of his is a pack which sits open at the foot of the single bed. There are like a few things kind of just sort of tossed in it and around it and sort of like on the floor. Almost as if he's like living out of a suitcase essentially. And there is a longsword in a sheath with a sword belt which is leaning up against the wall. You get the impression, just kind of like looking here, it looks like he's probably he's renting these rooms, he's taken up in these rooms for, some short period of time, and living out of this like to-go pack of his. He moves across the room, he removes the hand crossbow from he's essentially got like a cop style holster for his crossbow. He pulls the crossbow from that, sets that on the table, takes off his cloak and like tosses that onto a coat rack on the by the door. Within the room there is a table with 4 wooden chairs, one of which Harken now pulls out and just like flumps himself down into. There is a slightly moth-eaten looking armchair and a love seat on the opposite wall, all which are kind of surrounding a small coffee table. So he sort of sits down, he kind of like gestures to the other seats in the room for you guys to like take a load off.
I'm gonna pull out a rag, start wiping some of the most obvious blood off, and take a seat where I can see the door.
He gestures towards his pack. He says, I've got some bandages, things like that. Does anybody need them? Anybody hurt?
As my disguise wears off, I'm clearly bleeding.
It's like I know some people took some beating. I saw there was some maybe healing magic among you. I don't, help yourself to anything you might need out of my kit.
Much appreciated.
I think a brief rest would be helpful.
Yeah. So before the like conversation begins, he gives you guys time to clean up, tend to some of your wounds a little bit. If you guys want to do the equivalent of a short rest, you can roll some hit dice, use some healing stuff if you so choose
Does
to.
anyone need me to use 2nd level cure wounds?
There might be more.
Probably fine if we're taking a short rest.
Yeah, there might be more shenanigans tonight. Let's. That gets me back most of the way.
So you guys are kind of going about your business, tending to your injuries and stuff. He does take out some a roll of like cloth bandage, and you see he sort of he wraps around like one of his legs. Looks like maybe he like cut himself on some of the like window shards that were everywhere when he came in. But he otherwise looks to be healthy. And once you guys have kind of settled yourselves in and nobody's actively bleeding on the floor anymore, he leans back in that same chair again. It creaks. It's a little rickety. And he goes, All right. So that was not great.
No. That definitely could have gone better. On the other hand, we're all alive, so it could have gone worse.
Sort of gives you kind of like he says, so Themerin got my letter and sent you guys to the city. Yeah.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Can somebody walk me from point A to the part where the shootout with the creepy guys in the robes started? Because I think I'm a few steps behind here.
Okay, so we arrived in the city.
Should we ask questions before we start answering
Like
all of these
yourself.
questions? I have a couple of questions, and it might just be the shock talking. Are you just dead inside? Because you just walked in on let's see, arson, cremation, and posthumous beheading. And you're just acting like this is just like a normal part of your life. I mean, like, I'm a little overwhelmed. I set a building on fire a little bit. I'm
You also called
I'm
lightning
kind
out
of,
of the
I'm kind
sky.
of
That
not
was-
okay.
well, the ceiling.
He
That was cool, by the way.
To be fair, this is kind of a normal part of this day of my life.
he does look a little dead inside to you. That's an accurate. That is an accurate. As you're kind of looking at him now, and you guys aren't like rushing through the streets. He's in his like mid, maybe like pushing towards his later 50s. He has like several days worth of accumulation of like unshaven scruff on his face. He sort of has like a droopy hangdog expression in general, and he just kind of looks like rumpled. And he definitely has like the dead inside stare
like
on
an
his
old
face.
basset
I
hound
like-
from a pound or something.
Yeah,
I like to think it was like, are you dead inside? And he goes, what do you think? And it does like one of those SpongeBob extreme close-up, like overdrawn, like really depressed.
He sort of he kind of takes this in and he doesn't answer right away after you finish.
I am absolutely not looking for an answer. I know that there are things that I should be worried about, and I have exactly enough mental capacity to know that I should be worried about things, but not to actually know what they are or do something about them.
He seems to have this sort of that read on you, and really rather than like answering you or trying to like assuage any of these like concerns that you're voicing, he just seems kind of content. He just sort of is like sitting there and waiting for you to like tucker yourself out a little bit and then like and take a breath. So he just kind of like he's just sort of looking at you and he like scratches his jaw. And once you've sort of like run through the tirade a little bit, at least enough to create like a pause for him, he says, okay, that was a lot.
That was a lot?
He says, I've been doing... He's like, I've seen a lot of stuff. I've also been on this for a while. And I think we'll get everybody up to speed. I'm just a little confused as to how you got from arriving at the city to there without talking to me or finding me first. It took me a long time to get the information on that place. I just don't know how you guys did it so fast.
Let's just say you left a giant set of flashing neon signs in your wake that you should probably think harder about not doing that when it leads to getting assaulted by people who have been mutilated.
He's like,
and getting buildings set on fire.
He kind of like considers that for a moment, and he's like, two things. One, you guys been to my house?
Yes.
Okay.
But we left you alcohol.
Well, that's all right. He goes, and then he's like, 2. In my defense, I did not know that those guys with the robes were down there.
Neither did we. It was a surprise all around.
He
Honestly, I'm kind of glad it was the guys with the robes and not a dead end and you were just a weirdo pervert guy. So.
Well, I guess that's good for all of us. So, you found your way to my place.
Oh, Boris says hi, by the way.
Oh, all right.
That's how we found
Got it.
our way to your place.
All right, that makes sense. Okay. So, you are here to help?
Yes.
Well, I would appreciate knowing what we stepped into the middle of before we answer that question.
We were sent to assist.
He's like, he'll kind of hold up a hand toward you. He's like, fair enough, a bunch of guys in robes with chains and a BDSM fetish did just try to kill us all, so valid. I will try to lay this all out for you guys from the beginning to get you up to speed with everything that I know, and then we can talk from there. He kind of considers for a moment. All right, okay, so from the beginning. A few months back, contract comes through. The official jargon for this type of thing involves a lot of words like safe location and recovery of persons and blah, 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 blah. That's bullshit. It's a kidnap job. Some rich asshole wants his daughter to stop slumming it and come back home so that his other, rich asshole friends stop talking behind his back about it. He pays a bunch of money to have her rounded up and shipped back home. It's, it's a shit assignment, essentially. Anton Emerain is a spice trader who imports half of the herbs and spice in Valon from down south. His daughter, Eleanor, presumably, this is speculation on my part, presumably tired with Daddy's empire and all the shit that goes with that, leaves home a couple of years back. I guess at first he figures it's a phase and she'll come home once she's tired of playing commoner. But when she doesn't, he just sort of like gestures like, this, you get this. Mm-hmm. He says, Captain dumps the case on me. Should have been pretty simple. Figure out where she's staying. Go there on some jumped up sandbag infraction and kick her butt through a portal back to Nistrin. With a wag of the finger and a hard candy. All done. Except it wasn't as simple as that.
She got religion?
I don't think so. He says, I started looking into it. Turns out she's missing. I find the place she's been staying at. I poke around. You get a feel for a person when you're on this kind of investigation. You gotta learn to live in their head. You get to know them without meeting them. L something. She's not some rich girl just playing a commoner. She's tough. She came out here to try and do some good, to try and push back against the boot on the neck that the rich folk around these parts have. She actually gives a shit about the little guy. Except she got mixed up with the cell of the Gideon Templar. He kind of looks at you and says, you know about them?
Gideon Templar? Religion?
No.
I'm gonna guess they're dudes with robes and chains.
You two can make history checks.
What was his last name?
Well,
Whose last name?
Yeah, I got an 8.
Eton.
I got a crit fail, so I don't know
Okay.
shit.
I got an 8.
Okay.
So I
Neither of you are familiar. The last name of it's Emerain.
Amber.
He goes, when you guys kind of like have a set of blank stares at this, he says, they're ostensibly like a pseudo-political movement, a militant one. They don't expand too much further than the city here, but they talk almost like they consider themselves one of the peacekeeping groups without the contracts, but a lot of times they're barely any better than street thugs, and a lot of other times they're as bad as terrorists. Idealists, but not a great crowd. She gets mixed up with him. Like I said, she's an idealist. She wants to help the little guy. Either she doesn't care, or she's willing to overlook the bad parts of that outfit. I've got a few contracts I trust for information on Templar stuff. I find out she and a couple of others have got themselves involved trying to crack something that looked an awful lot like a trafficking ring. Bunch of people, mostly young women, going missing. Except as they're looking into this, she stops checking in, and nobody hears from her after that.
Would certainly explain the expanded fortunes of the establishment that we just left.
He kind of nods and he says, I mean, that's what I thought too until, I don't know, those robe guys may have been something else. He says, anyway, I put in some requests for any files that might be kicking around the station on missing people that match the profiles, looking for leads. Figure if I can track down this trafficking ring that Al and her people were looking into, maybe I can find them. That was when the captain told me to drop the case for the first time. Told me I was wasting time and resources on this. Told me that what I dug up was enough to send something back to her father saying, sorry, she's probably dead, and close the case. He sort of shakes his head. He says, doesn't feel right to me, though, you know?
You think she's being paid off?
He kind of waffles a little bit. He says, maybe. My gut tells me she's definitely being squeezed from somebody higher up. He's
Explain our warm reception.
Yeah, he kind of grimaces and says, oh, you spoke to the captain?
We knew you worked for the Shmerapalta and went over to your branch and asked for you, and she told us in nicer words to leave and forget about it.
He considers.
Real piece of work, that lady.
She's too ambitious about her own career. If somebody higher up is mixed up in whatever this is putting pressure on her to keep things quiet, she's probably more concerned with her own hide than whatever's going on here. That's what my instinct tells me anyway. Unfortunate that she knows about you guys now. Probably means you'll need to be a lot more careful moving around the city if you're going to continue looking into this with me. He continues, he says, I did a little more legwork after she had told me to back off. I wasn't ready to let it go. The other folks in her outfit that were looking into this thing, whatever this is, they're missing too.
Do you have their names?
He kind of shakes his head. He says, no. He says, I just know that the group that she ran with, her crew, they're all gone. Gideon Templar ringleader in this area, a guy by the name of Core, he gets wind of me sniffing around. Has a little chat with me. And the way that he says chat inflects it like they came and beat him down. He says he tells me to back off and that they'll find their own and they'll handle it their own way. Except I know how the Gideon Templar handle this type of thing. A bunch of people get real killed and then everything gets swept under the rug. El deserves better than that. I don't know if it was Core, if it was someone in Chimera Palta, or somebody else altogether, but word gets back to Captain Stelling that I didn't drop it. And that's when I got fired. I realized a lot of stuff that I maybe hadn't realized before after that. I guess I realized maybe the way I saw myself was 15 years out of date. Maybe there was a reason the captain's bullshit justification for firing me didn't raise any eyebrows around the station. He kind of chuckles darkly to himself as this washed-up investigator past his prime finally gets the axe. I know one thing for sure, though. There is something going on. Elle found it, and now she's missing. I started sniffing around, and suddenly I'm off the payroll. There's a lot of threads. I don't know where they all connect. But something's going on, and I think maybe some powerful people are mixed up in it.
What are you willing to do to resolve this?
He just sort of shrugs in a very resigned tone. He says, I'm just going to keep going until I find out what happened. She deserves an end to her story, whatever her fate was.
These, what do they call them, Void God followers?
He shakes his, he said, I didn't know anything about any of that until tonight. He says, I've been looking into a slavery ring. And he says, these religious nuts, I've heard a little bit about them. The chain gives it away. There's a group of religious wackos call themselves penitents. Their philosophy seems to be that the world is doomed because the gods hate everybody for being shitty, and the apparent way to correct this is to be even shittier, as far as I can tell. He says, this is the first that they have come up in this. I'm a little bit at a loss after tonight's adventure.
Slavery and trafficking is a way to make money. They could be looking to bankroll their operation and expand.
He sort of says, maybe, but I don't know much about them, but that doesn't seem like their shtick.
If you had one in the room right now that was verbal but incapacitated, do you have an idea on what you would want to ask? If we could capture one, would that help you?
He sort of thinks. He says, "That's probably the next step." I was staking out the harpsichord for the past week or so. It took forever, but I finally tracked down a guy I'd been close to in the Templar, and after some persuading, he gave me that information, that scrap that I had written down, the harpsichord and that passphrase. I got it from that kid. He told me that she'd apparently gotten it off of a girl who had been invited to some sort of secret meeting but didn't go. I've been watching the outside of the place for some time now, and coming back here just to sleep, but with no way to know if these people use a rotating passcode or a rotating location, I figured the best bet was to wait. And again, he sort of, with a bit of black humor, he kind of like gestures towards your guys' recently bandaged wounds. He goes, which apparently they do. But this thing with these penitents, these religious nuts, that's a curveball. Yeah, I mean that's the next step, is to try and dig up some information on who these guys are, where they operate, and
Well, does that satisfy your curiosity as to where we're at?
When did you reach out to Damios?
he says there is one other part to this, the thing that made me reach out to Themerin. About a month ago, I hear this rumor. A girl who had gone missing turns back up. Just showed up on the docks on the east side. No shoes, no cloak. Just wandering around like she didn't know where she was. It was a long shot, but fit the profile well enough that I figured it was worth checking into. I tracked down the temple where they're keeping her and taking care of her, to see if I could talk to her, see if maybe whatever happened to her was related to what happened to Ellen anyway. He kind of shakes his head and he says, I did go to see her to try and ask her some questions, but something happened to her. She's wrong in the head. It's like something went in there and just rinsed everything out. She's blank. She's also blind. Her eyes were like glassy and strange, like they'd been, I don't know, seared blank. I couldn't be sure if it had anything to do with my search, but I felt like she did, and seeing her, there was no question in my mind that something arcane got done to that poor kid. That's when I sent my letter to Dimios.
Would you recognize the other members of Eleanor's crew?
No, never met them. Don't know who they are.
Do they have a sigil or sign?
He says, yeah, and he goes into his pack and he pulls out a scrap of paper. And he draws... this is going to be terrible as I'm doing it on the spot. He essentially draws what is a sigil that looks like a wedge being driven down through like chain links, like breaking a chain. He says that's the Templar's sigil, the Gideon Templar sigil. A lot of their thugs have it tattooed on them. He says, but they're very insular, very a lot of loosely connected cells, protects the organization as a whole. A lot of these small groups, maybe they know of each other, but they don't know who each other are. I have not been able to to dig up any further information on the identities or the specifics of the group that she was running with in specific, except that they're gone.
What was the girl who showed up at the docks wearing?
I'm not sure what she was wearing when they found her, except that they said she was not dressed appropriately to be outside. No shoes, no cloak. By the time I went to check in at the temple where they brought her, they just had her in a simple dress that they'd had, the same plain garb that the matrons at the temple wear. Just what they put on her, I figure. Nothing specific.
If there's any significance to the fact that both groups we're concerned about are using chains in their symbolism.
He kind of he considers, he says, I don't think the Gideon Templar are involved with these other yahoos.
You could be opposed to them.
He says, I think they are opposed to them in the sense that they're following the same investigation I am, and they don't like competition. And he says Core made it pretty clear in the conversation we had that they like to handle their own business. He says, outside of them trying to track down whatever happened and probably sweep it all under the rug after they murder anybody involved, I don't know what their connection to any of this is. He sort of shrugs. He says, I think I've just been operating under the assumption that I'm trying to find out what happened before they do, and I never can.
Do you think we could speak with this young lady?
The girl?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see why not. I don't know how much good it'll do you. She was pretty incoherent when I went, but
what did
you
she
guys
look
are
like?
This is early 20s, slender, dark hair.
The missing persons that you tracked down, they all appear to have a similar type. All women, race, hair color.
He says, from what I can tell about whatever Elle and her crew were investigating, not exclusively, but enough to be a pattern. Younger women, slender in build.
So what's next for you?
He says, he points to Walter. He says, the harpsichord was was the lead I was following. That's dried up rather spectacularly, but
maybe not so much.
he says it's just led to another thread to pull at. These penitent guys are involved in this somehow. Now I start looking into them.
I'll pull the head out. Just like, fuck,
Should we confer amongst ourselves before we take any drastic action with...
The head's already on the table. The head's already on the table.
Harken is like, I eat there. Come on.
I'm sorry.
No, he's not. He's really not.
He's just.
I'm sorry.
of the
That's where
game.
you eat.
He looks. He's like looking at this head, and he's looking at you, and he's like, okay,
This.
I am going to assume wizard shit because
Sure.
you're Themern's people.
We can only hope.
This was removed from what I believe to have been the leader of that group. That
I
came
was
with me.
there. I did
So-
see that.
I may be able to get it to answer a few questions. However, we don't know as much about this place as you do. I would like to ask it pointed questions that will help us with the investigation.
This wizard stuff, where you're gonna ask a head questions. The head, what is the guy? All I'm
Yes,
saying
yes,
is,
and-
if I was the severed head of a guy that got killed and then had my head chopped off, I would not be forthcoming with information if I had it.
I don't blame you, and that's more than likely the case if we ask the wrong things.
Can
But
just the head be charmed?
No.
it is not it. It is the memories of it. The soul is gone. All that remains is what it knew.
Okay.
I mean, this might help us get ahead in our investigation.
That is not
Walter jumps out the third floor window.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna take a walk for about an hour, and then I'll come back and we can continue this, because that's the worst thing I've ever had happen to me in a 40-year career of being a murder investigator in this dump of a city. Was that pun?
You can stand in the corner for the rest of the evening.
I'm with him. I'm getting up. I'm walking out the door.
Just jump out the window. Head first.
It's faster.
No. Someone has to live to tell this tale.
Do they?
This
Yes.
Does this tale need to be told?
This person was confident and arrogant and mad. If we can use that to our advantage to get it to answer questions in ways that will help us remove options instead of get the answer, I think that would be beneficial.
If it'll get the severed head off my table faster, we should just do it.
So
I guess.
before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I'm going to ask a question. I hope you don't take offense, Harken. Is this our problem?
Demios did send us here.
For this?
This head specifically? No, but
We were sent to find out what happened to that missing girl who showed up.
But this might help us get.
That might be completely unrelated.
well, then if it's not, then we can just quit while we're ahead.
Not
Why
you
are we-
two.
Why are we
God,
starting
it's contagious.
with
Do we have any other leads?
this? We can go find out what happened to the girl. That's the thing that Damios is actually interested in, right? Something
We-
arcane happened to that girl, not this.
I thought this will tell us where the girl's at.
Oh no, there's no way he's gonna. There's no way that.
These things might be completely unrelated. Is
At the
I guess
very,
what I'm getting
at
at.
the very least, we can establish whether they're connected or unrelated.
Yeah, if they're not connected, we don't have to deal with this thing at all.
That's what I'm getting at.
If we figure out this is unconnected, I'll go bury it in the backyard. That's totally fine. And we can move on.
I mean, if you guys want to go down this path, that's fine. All I'm saying is, the girl who's showed up at the docks is what we were sent here for, not this missing girl.
No, we
Yeah. We came here to look for a relic.
Is the girl a relic?
You sent a letter to Damios saying that you
Yeah.
believe that something
Whoa.
arcane happened to the girl who
Harken
showed up
sort of-
down at the docks.
Harken, I sent a letter asking Themaran to assist me with the case. Because I thought some arcane stuff might be involved. He points at you. Sparky is not incorrect. They might be unrelated. And the wizard stuff. The wizard stuff definitely happened to this girl. My gut tells me they are connected. I think following either thread or both threads is going to lead us to the same place. That is my feeling. At the end of the day, the investigation that I asked Demios for help with is to find what happened to Eleanor. If you want to pursue the magic angle, that's fair. He's not wrong. It also doesn't involve talking to a severed head, which I'm kind of for, to be honest with you.
Do you have like a large granary jar? Put this in for safekeeping for a little bit?
I don't. Oddly enough, I do not have head-sized jars just hanging around in this rental establishment that I have taken up residence in.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I'm also a little uncomfortable with the fact that there is a beheaded corpse at the scene that is currently being investigated by the peacekeepers. The missing piece to which is where I eat my dinner. So if you guys want to do the wizard shit to this head, fine. But the sooner that this is not near us, the better.
That I most definitely agree with. So if we're going to do this,
I'm also on board.
We're going to have to do it now.
It is also fairly late in the night tonight. So if your intention is to pursue the, this girl at this temple, you probably need to wait till tomorrow anyway. But he seems to have, he's a little, he's enough thrown by this, let's ask questions to a severed head, that he seems to kind of be like, this is not we're out of the realm of cop stuff, and we're now doing wizard stuff, so, he's kind of willing to let you guys decide on what you do about the severed head. You do get the sense that his sort of, his path would be to, go and walk around and talk to people, try and find other dudes, go to see this lady, but he's like, I'm alright, there's a head there, I guess if you want to ask the head questions, we can do that. He's pretty nonchalant for a guy who you just, plopped a severed head on the table.
Are there specific questions you would want to ask?
I'd like to know about that ritual circle we found down in the basement of the harpsichord.
I guess let me say where I was going to ask, and then if you guys think that is a good line of questioning, we can go from there.
Okay.
The ritual is number one. Number two is we need to determine whether or not he's been involved with the trafficking, but we can't call it trafficking. I don't know what you call it. Recruitment, acquisition, whatever. Getting it to say why it attacked us would be convenient, because that would give us a better way to defend against future interactions with these people. There's no way that this is the only group in town, especially if there's been women going missing for a while.
Likely not.
Barring that, those are the three primary sources of inquiry that I have, and I can ask 5 questions. So
5 questions? Okay.
It is... The last time I did this, the entity wasn't exactly forthcoming with information, but sometimes the way something responds is enough to give you direction.
If I was going to be investigating a suspect that had the rest of his body still attached to him, I would be interested to know where other places that they congregate are.
Yeah.
We burned that one almost literally, but in a figurative sense. After what went down there, peacekeepers are going to be all over it. Whatever they were doing there is done. So that lead is lost to us. Our next step is to try and find out where else they have people. Do they take people somewhere? Do they have other hideouts?
Also, possibly the name of a leader. I sincerely doubt this is the top guy.
What can you ask that will indicate if these people are involved with the girl who showed up at the docks? Until there's a connection there, I don't see how this is our problem.
I can ask it what
We can ask it what
where he would have taken us.
I think we ask him what they do with the people that they take, and if he answers us anything that sounds even remotely like it would cause what happened to that girl, then we know they're connected.
That's fair.
Do we want to ask that question
First.
that way? If we
Any
piece
line of
it off.
any line of inquiry after that is irrelevant if they're unrelated. Okay.
Well, not irrelevant, just not relevant to us.
Sure, what time is it? So.
I
At
mean,
that point, Harken does kind of point up. He says, "I will point out I am still looking for L as my top priority."
and that's fair. We get sent around to collect relics.
He nods. He says, "Fair enough."
Alright, so in order. Where do those you capture go would be the first question.
Take, not capture.
Sure. Second, can somebody describe to me in good detail what the missing women look like as the general MO?
General MO, from what I know, is on the younger side, typically human, slender frame.
I'm gonna cast Disguise Self to look as best as close to whatever that is.
Alright, Walter's now a man in a wig. Good to know.
Mustache is still there.
Wow. Mustache. Wow.
So I'm just gonna work with him to kind of disguise self and change my features until he feels like it's close enough to something that would be close to what they're looking for.
I mean, it's not difficult. You don't have to do anything super specific. He obviously has
No idea.
it's just general descriptions of people who have gone missing.
One generic woman coming in.
Okay, so first question was that. Second question.
What happens to them?
Well, the first question
So
was.
where did the taking go?
No, where and then what?
Okay.
Where did the taking go?
What happens to them?
What happens to the taking? And then are there other groups? What is the wood god? I suppose would be a good line of question.
Yeah, let's leave that aside for the moment.
You're asking for a bunch of propaganda.
Yeah.
You don't ask them for their pamphlet. You leave.
No, I want to know more about that.
Say
ritual.
thank you and kindly shut the door.
Yes, ritual. So where? What? Where again?
Where, when, how?
I guess the why and the how, or the why is not going to be relevant. That's going to be
Yeah. So
So the who,
where do they take people?
where,
What do they do to them?
what, who are
Other
they?
groups?
Who are they working with?
Yes.
Where are they based out of?
Why do you want to kill me?
And finally, what is that ritual?
What is the
And then we have one more extra question.
No.
That was
we,
got
only, we have 5 questions.
Where? What? Are there other groups? What's going on with the ritual? And who do they work for?
Who did the work?
The
Right.
ritual. We might want to ask about the ritual
Instead
last
of-
in case we have follow-up questions.
Alright. Just pull some incense out of my bag and
Alrighty.
prepare to cast this spell.
Okay, is this a ritual spell for you?
Nope.
No, just a...
It's
okay.
just it's just required burning incense for
Okay.
presumably
You-
fill the skull with smoke.
You set your incense.
Great.
Your spell is cast, and after a moment, the eyes of this severed head sort of flutter open, and the slack, loose jaw kind of works a little bit. The muscles of the face sort of twitching and spasming as it is reanimated, and after a moment, the eyes drift open, and it stares with what you presume to be unseeing eyes, just sort of blank into the distance. Harken is like, oh.
Yeah, it's not
Right?
It's not pleasant.
Yeah, let's get this party started. What's the first question again?
Where do those you take go?
I'll just like hamlet it up.
Okay, so you here,
So
go
Last
ahead.
for Yorick, I knew him well.
Go ahead and hamlet that skull
All
for
right.
me there, Walter. There you go.
This is a lot, Walter.
Don't put it in my
He's
face.
he's Harken's like, oh, his fingers are like up in the neck hole. Oh,
If this was an elaborate ruse just for him to work this thing as a puppet and not actually do anything, I would be real pissed.
that's right. Tabletop Legends canon. Puppetry is evil. What is necromancy if not meat puppetry?
Need puppetry.
So Walter lifts up the skull, and you kind of hear it. He has no throat or neck or vocal cords, so the magic is sort of like animating this voice. It almost sounds like it's coming from like a great distance away, and it's like it has a little bit of an echo to it. As you hear the severed head goes, what? Well, and as you ask, what was your question? How did you phrase
Where
your
do
question?
those you take go?
Those we take. Those we take. They are tested. If they are enough, they go to the master.
Slide inquiry seems immediately.
Should one of the questions be, did you take the one we're looking for?
It would not know. It can only know what it knew in life.
Sure, some masters.
May I see the list?
Are you gonna be
That
read the
first-
list?
That first question,
The second one you guys had on your list was what happens.
which sort of got answered by the first one.
Yep.
We could ask, what is the test? We could.
There is a time limit on this, right? It's like 5 questions
It's
or
like 5 questions in.
within a certain time
like
because
5 minutes or
he
something?
It's like 10
goes
minutes.
after a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
So I'm gonna like if you guys get caught too much in the weeds of like re-deliberating questions, I'm gonna start time pressuring you just to like give you guys a heads up.
no, it does not have time. No, it's 10 minutes. It is
Yeah.
10 minutes. Okay. So in that case, where do the other groups work out of?
Move everywhere, nowhere, one place. not safe.
Moving to that question.
So they are operating wherever they can.
You could ask, where is the master? You can ask about the ritual. You can ask, what is the test?
What is the test?
We show them the light of oblivion.
Sounds like something that would make you go blind.
Probably in your death experience.
Who is the master?
He is the greatest of us, the most devoted, the most pure, the most penitent. His vision is absolute.
Sounds like he's just a dude, though. So,
You got two more, right?
I got two more.
We can ask about the ritual.
Ritual
We
first.
can ask where the master is.
Okay.
I mean, we want to know about the ritual.
Yeah.
he may not have the info on where the master
What
is. though.
What is the ritual circle in the basement?
It is where we test. It is to show them the light.
Where is the master?
He treads only in his own sanctuary. Our ritual sites are not pure enough. And the light flickers from the head's eyes as his consciousness fades away and the spell ends.
Alright. Step one. We need to get rid of that.
Be right back. And I'm just gonna book it and just like, throw it into the river.
Okay. Easy enough.
Alright.
Alright, bye, and just run out the door. And then
There is Walter leaves. There is a about a minute later. There is a comical kerplunk noise as he throws the head into the river.
Alar breaks out another rag, starts kind of like being ineffectually at the table, like at.
I think you want to replace that.
Yeah, throw that out.
He's like, "This is not my house."
then it's not your problem.
That's,
He's like, "Is it like?" He's looking.
It's dripped
He's
through
like,
the
"I don't
table.
know if this is like a couch cushion where we can maybe just flip
Put the whole
this."
table.
You gonna put the table upside down?
there's only one way to find out.
He says, "Anyway,
Walter,
okay, what did we learn there?"
real quick, Walter, is there a chance that the other half of that would have been audible when we asked all of this question?
Did you want to carry a whole corpse with us?
No, I'm
In
just
2
wondering
seconds
if
that we had to run out the door?
if we just let all the cops in on the information we got.
If this were the city we were working out of originally, and the guards were trustworthy and unified, maybe that would be good. But obviously, the captain of this particular group.
He said, "I think that the dragon lady's question
Yeah.
was, did the decapitated body just like flap its neck and say all of this in the coroner's office?"
Shouldn't have.
Okay. That's good. So they obviously do some kind of arcane ritual. I don't know the specifics of it.
He kind of
We know what components are involved.
he sort of scratches his chin. He says, if this light he's talking about is a literal light
That
of
would,
some sort,
that would certainly explain the blindness in that.
could be connected, unless it's a metaphorical crazy man cultist version of Show Them the Light, which we just had a conversation with a severed head, so I'm not really making any conclusions about anything for a while.
So this is my takeaway from this interaction. Whether it's a real light that other people can see or not, there's probably ritualistic mind magic going on. It's arcane, it's ritual. He said it's not pure, and he said they move. So presumably any abandoned or convenient building where people don't tend to look at too hard would be a good spot to look, which kind of rules out a lot of
He stands up and he goes over to like the shuttered window and he like opens it to demonstrate the fact that like a good portion of the city is just like run down. He's like, that narrows it down to absolutely nothing.
That's fair.
Cool.
Yeah.
He says, we have maybe a little bit of firm information that backs up my feeling that the girl at the that they have at the temple is connected to this somehow. Maybe you guys could get something out of her that I couldn't. I think we should pay her a visit again. He's like, he gestures at the bloodstain where the head was. He's like, that is already way more than I was expecting to see today. So maybe you guys have got a way to get information from her that I wouldn't. He says, I still think we also need to try and find another one of these cult guys, these penitents. Either try and get information from them, try to follow them, something like that. He said,
No one was taken into custody today.
That's true.
Oh.
The docks.
Different, not Chimera Palta, the,
Is it green and gold?
yeah, the folks in, the organization that covers the portal. What's its name?
it's not green and gold, it's,
Orange and something?
it's orange and red. He goes, Valkos. Okay.
You got any contacts with them?
The peacekeeping forces don't cooperate so well with one another. They are in competition for contracts, which would be already bad enough if it were not also for the fact that I have been fired and you guys are a group of randoms.
So that's liable to
He
end
says,
us
I don't
on
have
this.
any. He says, I don't have any official or under the table ways of getting access to. What did he do? This guy.
He attacked someone,
Salt.
Priestess.
Salt on a citizen. All right. Well, that's at least a 10-day in their cells.
He bit off her ear.
Jesus. At least a 10-day. A flogging, and if the Magister really wants to throw the book at him, which if he bit off somebody's ear, I assume they will.
A priestess.
It's up to 1,000. Well, they don't care about the priestess thing, but
Alright.
it's up to 1,000 gold, which
He does
I
not
very
have.
much doubt he has.
Yeah.
So, okay, we at least know where one of these guys is for the foreseeable future. He kind of like, he looks at you guys, he's like, you guys are the wizard's fixers. You guys got any thoughts on how we get into the Valkos prison holding cells?
wonder if our good friend Niles knows anything. He seemed to be
Who the hell is
Priest.
Niles?
He's a straight urchin kid, so I'm thinking maybe he knows some secret ways to get into some places, maybe. Also, may not hurt to ask him if he knows anything about some disappearing ladies.
You guys had a very productive day.
I also just had a thought.
Does it involve a severed head?
It does not involve Zetterhead.
Oh,
Well, that's a first. That's the first idea that has involved a severed head that I've ever seen this guy come up with.
If we can...
It's not a shovel,
that
it's
is,
a
that,
severed
is,
head.
that is technically true. Also, if we can speak to the cultist that was at the docks and tell him that the site has moved, it's possible he may take us, if we follow him carefully, to the next site or a different site.
Are you talking about busting a guy out of Valkos's jail?
Yeah, I don't want to bust that.
No, that's...
We don't need to bust him out if we can get the information from him about where that next place will be.
That's
He may not have been informed.
What can I do to get arrested and have less than 1 day in jail?
Probably you could fight one of us in public.
I'll fight Walter.
He
Don't volunteer all at once.
he kind of scratches his chin and he says, "Less than a day in jail."
We're a day in jail.
He says,
That'd be the first time we've been in jail.
if I were gonna try something like that, honestly, I'd be around something else that you didn't do, and then be real suspicious about it, and get them to throw you in while they investigate, and then when it turns out you weren't involved, they'll let you go.
Do they have more than one cell?
He nods. He says, "Yeah,
Okay,
they've got a
So there's a giant flaw here to start with. Do you guys have lawyers?
He's like, we've got we've got magistrates."
Does he get an opportunity to represent himself?
He says,
I will be volunteered to be his lawyer.
He says, "This is becoming very complicated."
This seems way far more straightforward. We have these guys say that they're here representing him pro bono.
Oh,
they
does
just
the
walk
crazy
in.
guy get it?
Yeah, they just walk in.
No,
ask you some questions,
no.
and
He
leave.
bit off a lady's ear. They're just gonna throw
Allegedly.
him in jail. They're just gonna throw him.
See, I'm already good at this.
Tabletop Legends episode 28. Allegedly.
Brom.
But we
That
watched it.
seems way less complicated to me.
He said it does not work like that. He said the peacekeepers bring him in, tell the magistrate what he did, and the magistrate hands down a sentence, and then he serves a sentence.
Well,
So we know he'll be in jail for at least 10 days.
At the very least, I would not be surprised more considering he mutilated somebody.
what about Morgan or Scooter paying our friend a visit?
I mean, all that does is get someone there. And considering the condition of the rest of the city, is more likely that someone is going to try to eat Morgan or Scooter.
That's true. Also, Morgan cannot speak.
Neither can Scooter.
She can make some very convincing noises.
You
but
might be
she
able to
cannot.
just kick down the door.
We are friends, kind of, with the lady whose ear got bit off. Could we use her?
You know the lady that got bit.
Yeah.
Well, we
Well,
helped her.
kind of was a strong
and
word.
We know her name.
He
I don't remember it, but we know it.
He nods. He says, part of the punishment, if he inflicted damages upon a member of the citizenry, they have a right to demand part of any fine placed on him by the magistrate. If you can convince that lady to go before him, that'll at least get you in the building. You still have to come up with a way to have this conversation with him without Valkos peacekeepers standing over your shoulder.
We pull a little piece of like wire out of like cast a message like this.
He's like, "Don't do that. I don't like that. Don't do that anymore."
It's like a little whisper right behind his ear. It's
Yeah,
like,
but he can't cast message back to you. So.
no, he can respond.
He
Can't
says
respond.
Oh.
He can it's a message that only they
his
can hear.
his eyes are like pretty bloodshot. It's getting pretty late at this point. He says, "We have the beginning of a plan with the fanatic that you guys know in jail. It's late. Why don't we sleep on this?
We're
We
gonna
can
go
tackle
find out what happened to the girl first.
we can
anyway.
tackle the girl tomorrow morning
Cultist isn't
and
going anywhere.
work
Yeah.
out our plan with the cultist as we go."
Real quick with the cultist. Could we just message him? And then he may be so insane that he thinks it's his
We
god
need to
speaking
know.
to him.
Where they are.
Also, isn't that close range?
If I know the target and it's within 30 feet, it doesn't matter if there's a wall in the way. However,
That's
I would need to know where the target is.
so. In other words, we need to be able to.
I need to see him.
Yeah.
We need to
He's
be able to-
Harken kind of like again. He's just like seems to me like it might be easier once you guys have got the hard part is getting in, which you can handle if you can convince this acquaintance of yours to go with us. Seems to me after that somebody just pretends to have like diarrhea or something and drags off one of the guards.
Okay.
Gives everybody a couple of minutes.
I would also recommend when you do this, you appear as one of them, one of the cultists. Assign.
I'm gonna
perhaps
just immediately
some
disguise
things.
self as like, what did you think I was gonna do?
He does kind of like he's like,
Not obvious.
just be careful about that. There's anti-magic fields built into most of the Peacekeeper.
Just put
Jail
a chain
cells.
around your waist.
Easy mode.
He nods. Says,
Hopefully, it's not extended.
the
to
less
within
he's
this.
like, I know you guys are like magic guys, but
I was actually gonna ask if
The
there
less-
was any warding. That would be better.
the less magic we do this with, the safer it is.
Bag of costumes it is.
He sort of he nods to you guys and gestures around. Nula he kind of like offers the single bed to you, and he says, "You guys can crash here if you don't want to go back out on the streets."
I'll sleep on the table.
You can have the bed. I'll sleep on the
He's like, "It's fine. Otherwise, if you don't want to stay here, we'll reconvene in the morning." He says.
Which temple was this?
He says it's in the Strand. It's sort of one of the non-denominational pantheon of charitable deities.
It would be more or less suspicious for us to not go back to our hotel today, or inn, I guess.
I think it might be more suspicious if we took rooms and then didn't use them.
At the very least, I'm going to go back to the rooms because I'm going to see if I can find Niles hanging around.
I will
He's
also
probably going to come back there and meet us.
probably stay at the rooms then because that makes more sense.
That's fine. So if you guys tell him where you are staying, he
Yeah,
can
we
come
do.
meet you there in the morning.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then, with that plan settled, let's take our break for the evening. And hear from our sponsors, and then come back in about 5 minutes with the remainder of our episode. So thank you guys for sticking with us. If you have been joining, I haven't had chat up, so I don't know if anybody's around, but we'll be back in about 5 minutes with the rest of tonight's episode.
And a surprise.
And a surprise that even I don't know what it is.
Yes, you do.
Oh. Okay.
It's been sitting in front of you all night.
Oh. Alright, well, be right back. Stick with us. Hey there, everyone. Matt Palmieri here, your host and Dungeon Master. Thank you for joining us for tonight's episode of Tabletop Legends. I hope that you're enjoying the show so far. I know I am. While myself and the rest of the gang are refilling our drinks, stretching our legs, and relieving ourselves of the pee that we've been holding in for the last 2 hours, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you about our sponsors here at Proficiency Bonus. First up is Little Dragon Corp. Little Dragon Corp are purveyors of fine gaming dice, as well as all sorts of other tabletop gaming goodies. They've got a huge selection of polyhedral dice you can choose from, and prices that you couldn't shake a stick at even if you had a +1 stick of shaking at your disposal. They recently released their line of Birthstone dice. They have new metal dice sets available, and they are constantly coming out with new products. If, unlike Becca, who we have to physically restrain from buying dice on stream once a week during our ad read, D&D dice are not your thing, they have definitely got some other cool stuff you can get your hands on. They've got spell cards, they've got gaming accessories, they have a whole bunch of other tabletop style games that you can order right to your door. If you want to check them out, you can type !Little Dragon into the Twitch chat at any time for a quick link to their store. Or just go to your favorite web browsing apparatus and you can go to www.littledragoncorp.com. And remember, if you do purchase anything, tell them we sent you. You can use the code BONUS at checkout for 10% off your order. If you'd like to buy, 11 sets of dice, it would be like one of them would be free. Yeah, that's probably not how math works, but, I just don't think about it too hard. And, go check them out. LittleDragonCorp.com for all of your sweet dicey needs. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Marble Moon Studio in the 8th House. They are an independently owned, ethically sourced, witchy lifestyle and home goods shop. Their goal is to support small businesses and create a safe, inclusive space / community for witchy folks. They've got just a ton of super cool merchandise that you can order online, including the widely popular Tabletop Legends Magic AF D20 mug. But hey, it's just not all mugs over there. It's not just like they're not an entire store filled with mugs. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with stores filled with mugs. If you're a mug store, I mean, that's a great business plan and good for you. And call me. We'll set up a sponsorship. But Marble Moon Studio in the 8th House, well, they've got way more than that. They've got all sorts of things. They've got wall art. They've got candles. They've got apparel. I mean, you don't need to listen to me just like list off a bunch of random products off of their site. You can take a look at the sweet montage that I'm probably going to edit into the background of this audio. Or I mean, better yet, just go to their website. You can look for yourself and not have me read it to you like an idiot. You can find them online at either marblemoonstudio.com or shopthe8thhouse.com. I've met both of the ladies who run this business in person. They're awesome. They're awesome people. You need to go buy things from them right now. Thank you, Marble Moon Studio and the 8th House, for supporting us and our silly Dungeons & Dragons mess around. We love you, and, hit me up about a cut of that sweet mug money. Hey, if you'd like to sponsor an episode of Tabletop Legends, maybe you want to give a shout out to your website, your business, or a podcast of your very own, you can do that. Send an email to tabletoplegendsdnd@gmail.com. That's tabletoplegendsd, the letter N, D, @gmail.com. And, it doesn't just have to be a business. Maybe you want to promote, I don't know, maybe you're really good at kickflips and you want people to know that. You can do that. Maybe you have a friend and your friend watches the show and you want to hear me call him a doo-headed fart baby over the internet. We can do that. Send me an email. We'll work something out. Maybe you've been working up the courage to ask out the girl you like and you just can't bring yourself to do it. Why not pay a podcast host to do it for you? I don't see how it couldn't work. Send us a message at tabletoplegendsdnd@gmail.com and all of your dreams can come true, no matter how ridiculous they are. Well, anyway, that's all I've got from you. I have talked long enough. Please enjoy the ear candy, sweet sounds of our royalty-free background music for another few minutes or so until we return for the rest of our episode. Thank you. I love you. I didn't mean to say it, but there it is. Now it's out there. We have to deal with this now. But we'll deal with it after the rest of the show. Hey there, everyone. Matt Palmieri here, your host and Dungeon Master. Thank you for joining us for tonight's episode of Tabletop Legends. I hope that you're enjoying the show so far. I know I am. While myself and the rest of the gang are refilling our drinks, stretching our legs, and relieving ourselves of the pee that we've been holding in for the last 2 hours, I wanted to take this opportunity to talk to you about our sponsors here at Proficiency Bonus. First up is Little Dragon Corp. Little Dragon Corp are purveyors of fine gaming dice, as well as all sorts of other tabletop gaming goodies. They've got a huge selection of polyhedral dice you can choose from, and prices that you couldn't shake a stick at even if you had a +1 stick of shaking at your disposal. They recently released their line of Birthstone dice. They have new metal dice sets available, and they are constantly coming out with new products. If, unlike Becca, who we have to physically restrain from buying dice on stream once a week during our ad read, D&D dice are not your thing, they have definitely got some other cool stuff you can get your hands on. They've got spell cards, they've got gaming accessories, they have a whole bunch of other tabletop style games that you can order right to your door. If you want to check them out, you can type !Little Dragon into the Twitch chat at any time for a quick link to their store. Or just go to your favorite web browsing apparatus and you can go to www.littledragoncorp.com. And remember, if you do purchase anything, tell them we sent you. You can use the code BONUS at checkout for 10% off your order. If you'd like to buy, I don't know, like 11 sets of dice, it would be like one of them would be free. Yeah, that's probably not how math works, but, I just don't think about it too hard. And, go check them out. LittleDragonCorp.com for all of your sweet, sweet dicey needs. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Marble Moon Studio in the 8th House. They are an independently owned, ethically sourced, witchy lifestyle and home goods shop. Their goal is to support small businesses and create a safe, inclusive space / community for witchy folks. They've got just a ton of super cool merchandise that you can order online, including the widely popular Tabletop Legends Magic AF D20 mug. But hey, it's just not all mugs over there. It's not just like they're not an entire store filled with mugs. I mean, not that there's anything wrong with stores filled with mugs. If you're a mug store, I mean, that's a great business plan and good for you. And call me. We'll set up a sponsorship. But Marble Moon. And the mics are live. Hello, everybody. How are you? Thank you for sticking with us while everybody went to the bathroom. We were debating whether we were going to do this tonight or not, but then Russell said we were.
I thought we were.
He wasn't here for the part we were debating it, but it doesn't matter because now I'm excited for it. So it's on.
I was preparing myself for it the whole time.
I need like a graphics package so that I can be like, that's right, everybody's favorite, Tabletop Legends eats weird food! Bam, 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 bam. If you are new to the program, every once in a while we do a thing where somebody gets something from a foreign land.
Or Amazon.
Or Amazon.
Or Hawaii.
Or Hawaii. Hawaii is sort of a foreign land.
This is a strange land, at least.
In that it is not close enough for me to visit.
On a weekend?
Yeah. I can't drive. Like, the Wawa 5 minutes from my house is about as far as I will go for anything. So in that context, lots of things are a foreign land. But tonight's foreign land is the land of Mexico. Hooray. Hooray. I have a bunch of Mexican... Viva Las Vegas. Viva La Mexico. I have a bunch of authentic Mexican candy brought to me by the ladies that I work with, who hate me, apparently, because I have had some of this Mexican candy before, and it's terrible.
Yeah, I wonder, like, is it like they think it's good, or they're like, I'm going to show this is...
I think maybe both, because they, like, legitimately, this is their jam. They like this chili-flavored candy. But they also definitely know that I can't palate it, and so they always give it to me, and then they laugh when I eat it. I'm like, what? So, tonight's episode of Tabletop Legends Eats Weird Candy. I have a handful of different Mexican candies that we're gonna do. One of them I don't think is gonna be that bad. So we're going to do that one first, because I have a feeling that this is probably going to be fine.
We begin on a high note.
This is something called Totis Donitas.
It's calamari.
It's not. Donitas, I'm pretty sure, means tiny baby donuts.
Yeah, I believe they're lime flavored.
We think maybe they're lime.
They look like they're gummies, but they're not.
Limon y sal. I don't know what sal is. Maybe salt? Lime and salt?
Sal is...
Who knows?
Sun.
No, Sol is sun. It's S-A-L.
I thought it was sugar, but that's a Zukar.
S-A-L?
Botana de... Oh, it's better if we don't look it up. I think we should not know.
Oh, okay.
Botana de Trijo Sabor Limon y Sal. I don't speak any Spanish.
Our mother is a Spanish teacher. You would think we would know something.
Very, very little. I do know that it has 134 milligrams of sodium in it.
Jesus.
How is that possible?
It's all salt.
It's actually a salt ring.
Literally
just
made out of
press
salt.
Salt might be
I
salt.
also apologize that I've been crinkling this package in the microphone like an asshole.
ASMR and Tabletop Legends.
I'll tell you what, they smell like packing peanuts.
Cool.
Ooh, packaging.
So we're off to a good start. I'll pass this one this way.
Viva la
I
Mexico.
should have done that the other way. There's more people on this side of the table.
I think we're okay with like not opening 2 bags.
I can kind of smell them from
probably.
here.
Let's see how far 1 bag gets us, and then go from there.
Probably far enough.
I tried the camera.
That is bullshit.
Totis Dunitas.
Are they like Funyuns, but not fun at all?
I don't know. Here, Olive.
They kind of smell like Chinese food.
Do you want to participate in Tabletop Legends Eats Weird Things? Yeah.
Probably shouldn't.
There you go.
Hey, yeah, that
Tune in next week to see if Olive lives.
Oh god, they're actually really good.
Are we going for it already?
I just went for it, and they're really
You know what
good.
they taste like? They taste like bugles.
Yeah. There's like a
They
little.
definitely salt and vinegary a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah, I love salt and vinegar, so like, if anybody doesn't want the rest of the, I'll shove them in my face.
These are good.
Not what I was expecting at all. I was expecting some sort of fruity
They
taste.
kind of taste
I
like
thought-
Fruit Loops with salt and vinegar.
The packaging led me to believe that they were like apple cinnamon. I mean, not the part that says they're lemon and salt, but just like it's like green and they look
These are
like
actually
this.
outstanding. I need these. If they
I
have,
like these.
if they have a larger like bag of them, please let me know.
Mexico, well done. You have passed the test on this.
Point one for Mexico.
1
No,
point.
wait.
1 point for Mexico.
Adam
You
is
like a
consistent
scoreboard,
with
like
it.
Mexico won.
Sweden 0
Okay.
or whatever other.
Let's see.
Right, this is good.
Let's do these next. This is the only other thing that I have one for everybody. This is what does it say?
It's got a rainbow.
Looks like it
says.
says Harambe on it, but I don't think that's. I don't think that
Gorilla
it is.
chunks.
For what you need to defend the children.
Gorilla chunks.
It looks like maybe the packaging is not great for readableness. Looks like it says tambourines,
Made out of tambourines.
which I guess sort of makes sense
Wow,
because there's like a bunch of pictures of drum.
Give me some.
It looks like a tiny red like snowball. For those of us that have.
Alright, just pass them out. We'll eat them.
Pass.
Pass them out. So these are definitely chili flavored.
Yay. So none of these are somehow like some
Yeah.
Carolina Reaper flavored thing.
Alrighty, so these are a chili flavored candy.
They're tamarind and chili flavored, whatever tamarind is.
Oh no.
I don't know what
Okay.
that is.
I do.
I'll tell you this: they smell very bad. All right, everybody,
Ooh, they don't-
everybody's got to. They got to do them at the
They
same
don't
time.
smell
It
edible.
smells like the backseat of an old car.
I
Yeah.
feel like we have like the keys for the launch
Yeah.
code.
Okay.
All right,
Three.
I just in my mouth.
1.
down the hatch.
It's not that bad.
Oh,
It tastes like the zoo smells.
oh, Mexico, no! Why have you done this?
Mine is not that bad. Maybe they're different.
It was so much drier than I thought it was gonna be. It looked like a gummy. It was just powder.
Hey, so fun fact, I already drank that energy drink that you gave me earlier, and it's gone. And I don't have any liquid for my face.
What?
It's not spicy. It's just bad.
It kind of tastes like if you took all
Ugh.
that excess sugar off
You
a
didn't
Sour
bite
Patch,
it. Bite it.
and just get it.
No,
Mine
I
is
didn't.
dissolved already.
Oh, I chewed. That was my critical.
No,
error.
I just
was
let
like-
it dissolve.
I thought it was a gummy, so I just bit into it,
Yeah.
and it just crumbled into like
Yep.
death crystals inside my mouth.
It wasn't good.
That was not great.
It kind of tastes. Like
It tastes like zested lime, sugar, chili.
So we're gonna have to.
I didn't get any sort of chili.
This I only have 2 of these. This next thing is something that just says Lenwiz, and it is Baby Dino's brand.
Okay.
It is. I am assuming it is similarly flavored,
Yes,
so
I
we'll have to
know.
split each of these into 3, so everybody can have a little piece.
These are
of
at
this.
least kind of gummy-ish.
These look gummy-ish.
They look like. They feel like essentially the same thing.
They still look
This
like
is
they
after
I
have.
gave you
is-
the smaller piece.
There is no way this isn't the same thing.
No,
Oh, for sure.
This, you know what? This smells like brown sugar.
It smells like
It smells like a clump of brown sugar.
it smells like a clump of brown sugar.
Which may just be what it is. Brown sugar covered with.
There is 0% chance that this is not chili flavored. I don't know what you
Alright.
guys are talking about.
No, but it could be chili covered
more?
brown sugar.
Three.
It smells like paprika.
3, 2, what?
Okay, no.
Down the hatch.
No,
Didn't get
this
to
one's
sing
worse. This one's worse. Abort mission. My body's not letting me swallow it.
I guess you guys are just a bunch of bitches.
Oh.
It's not good.
It's.
It's like someone's
It gets you.
tasing my tongue.
I keep thinking it's over, and then, like,
It's stuck in my teeth, and that makes me very sad.
It kind of tastes like a gritty fig.
Ah! Oh,
Yeah, no,
That's bad.
I hate it.
Goodbye.
Oh, that aftertaste. Oh.
I do not feel good. I tell you that.
Strawberry?
Oh, it didn't get bad till it split in half.
Oh, it's because he's not chewing.
You're
these.
not chewing
You have to chew
Oh, this
them.
isn't so bad. You
They're
got
supposed to-
digits, because
they're
I'm not chewing it.
They're supposed to dissolve.
Ah.
The only thing dissolving is my will to live.
They're clearly candy you're supposed to, like, suck on.
Oh, I'm gonna
I'll
wash
put
that
this
down
in
with
my
some
mouth that
Donitas
long.
in a second here.
Yeah, can I have more Totitos?
Well, we gotta save those. We got one more thing we gotta distribute. This is either gonna be not. I feel like I'm being led into a false sense of security by this because the last like crystally
It
powder
looks
we
like the
did
same thing, just
was that whole.
crushed into a powder.
I don't know if you're just picking up on this, but Mexican candy is one flavor,
Yeah.
and that's chili.
No, but like
They haven't invented other flavors in Mexico except for lime and salt.
That was
apparently.
I don't know if that's true because everything we've had today has been tamarind flavored.
it was
And
definitely like
we joke about being
yeah.
canceled a lot. Tamarind that's not fresh, like no.
that was
What-
definitely like a
what
hunk
is
of brown
tamarind?
sugar covered with chili.
Oh.
Mixed with
It's still
chili.
like I'm still like tasting it. There's like a little. It's like you ever like my pre-workout mix for the gym is like this, or if you ever have like a mix of some sort that like doesn't do a great job of dissolving. You know how you get like a little like
powder
It's
pocket.
powder clump, and
It's
then it'll
stuck
burst
in my
every once in a while. They're like that's up in my like gums, and every once in a while it'll be like I get a little more. Anyway, so I have this. It is a
Really
tube of
Tamarind powder.
very ominous looking red sugar powder. And it is Baby Dino's brand again. And it's something called Piki Tiki Chilito.
Okay.
It's not great for me.
How
So
are we doing this?
I guess we pour a little bit into a palm and
I think we put it in lines on the table and everything just no.
Mexico!
Jesus.
That'd be more like Colombia.
It smells upsetting. I tell you that.
You get a clean whiff.
Everybody get a whiff.
It smells like everything else. we
It
just
smells like it's
ingested.
gonna taste like concentrated everything else we've eaten so far.
Yeah, that's the pure form. The pure unrefined form.
Should we get like a spoon?
So what is tamarind? And
Uh,
why are they allowed
Not,
to import it
it's
here?
terrible. That's what it is.
Oh, God.
it is.
Here's how we're gonna do this.
oh, okay.
It tastes like sour.
Oh, it's
Yes.
gonna get stuck in this
It
thing.
That is tamarind.
Is it
Have a
like
rolling joints of this
extracts
stuff.
of
Just
something?
just
No,
a little
it's a
pocket,
fruit.
and then you can like shoot the pocket of
okay.
powder down.
I'll accept that. Okay.
Careful, careful, careful.
You take your pocket.
So yeah.
No, you can just
Take
have
your
that.
head.
Yeah, take. You've been using
This-
your paper not for writing, but for rolling doobies.
No, don't make me laugh. I'm gonna spill it.
I
Not that
definitely
that's-
got more
You
than
spilled burning chili powder all over my gamer. I'll be very upset.
There's a 100% chance this may not make it down.
Alright, here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna dole this out, and then just whatever's left in this tube when I'm done here, I'm just gonna have to do.
That may work out good or bad.
No,
for you.
it's not. It's not going great so far. There's a lot of this left.
Oh, this is going to be unfortunate.
If only there was like a really like strong fruit behind you to like cut the flavor of this nonsense.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Elf on a shelf.
The elf is watching.
We're not
us.
talking about that either. That's
God,
that
why'd
just
you
goes
pour
on.
so much?
You want to trade?
Nope.
Okay. It's been nice knowing you all.
3, 2.
Yeah, suckers. Oh, fine. No, it worked! Ah! God! Yo! No! Oh, God. It's making the back of my jaw cramp.
It doesn't taste like anything that you should eat.
have to do the rest.
It doesn't taste like anything that should be eaten. It doesn't taste edible.
It's like a topping you put on something
This is
for
a
somebody
crime
to eat.
against humanity.
I also, when I went to do it, I guess I inhaled a little bit before I did it, so some of it went right up my nose.
I can't. I'm gonna throw up if I eat any more of this. I'm gonna put this back here. let the Donitos soothe you guys. Just...
So, out of curiosity, is there anything on the table that we can definitely like remove this flavor from our mouth from?
Can we just call the session here? Like, time's done?
We can go to the hospital.
The flavor tamarind. Never again.
Not even once.
I think we got... Do we have anything left?
No. Well, there's one thing left, but I only have one, so I'll just do this one.
I'm getting heartburn in real time.
Can I have more?
I'm sorry, I killed the bag, I'm sorry.
If nobody else wants to, I'll do the tongue.
Yeah, the salty,
No, I got it.
vinegary, lime-hinted green bag is somehow more palatable than the pile of sugar.
Oh, those tasted way worse after all of that.
Well, so this has been Tabletop Legends Eats Weird Foods, Mexico edition. Donitos.
It's always Mexican.
Nice job, good work. You.
Oh my god, we got lured in with the salsa-getti that was good.
What was
Salsa-getti was mediocre. And Curtis
Salsa-getti-
Curtis is an animal.
Salsa-getti wasn't life-ruining.
That sauce was an abomination.
Everything I just put in my body
Do you want to split
is unacceptable.
I'm already thinking about
I mean, I'll
calling in
help you
sick
finish.
tomorrow.
I'm sharing them.
Okay.
I don't...
I will attempt to share.
I'm
instead of
afraid
just,
of how
inhaling these in hopes
an
that
hour
I
from
forget
now
what
this
that
is
other
gonna
taste
be.
is.
Can somebody Google translate the word? I believe it says chupadillo. CHUPADEDO. Chupadito.
You don't have the camera-based translator app?
The first thing that comes up is a horse.
I don't think that's
It's
it.
a horse.
El
flavor tongue.
Chupadito is a horse.
Well, that's going to be a boss you guys are going to fight at some point. Chupadito. My assumption was that El Chupadito was going to translate to thumb, because the last thing that I have, chat, is this lollipop that is...
It doesn't look like a lollipop from here.
It is shaped like...
A chode?
It's a chode
It's
from
shaped
here.
like a thumb.
Especially from the back.
Yeah, it's definitely a thumb. We'll go with thumb.
It has, like, it gets complete with, like... It has, like, a fingernail and, like, thumb wrinkles and, like, a creepy thumb, like, fingerprint on it.
It doesn't look like it's going to be bad, but it's probably going to be bad.
I don't know, it doesn't smell like anything. Oh, listen, just... What are you doing, Mexico? Come on. What is this? Get it together. Please.
Is there symbolism?
I don't know.
Is like a... Oh, because you're sucking on your phone.
It's actually fine.
For now.
There's a tamarind flavor.
No, it's like normal.
Nope, there it is. Found it. It was hiding
It
at
it does taste like NyQuil.
Okay.
That's a lot of candy. Like,
There's
candy
a lot.
like that.
It's clearly a thumb.
No, I'm sorry, not NyQuil.
It's actually disconcerting.
If you know Vicks Vapor Rub, you know when you got that on your chest and like the fumes are getting up
It's
in your
menthol
are
flavored?
getting in your mouth, it's menthol flavored.
Okay. Well, at the very least, your tongue is going to go numb, so you won't feel the horror anymore.
Oh.
Thank you.
Wish that I had not.
Good morning.
Can we do this part like
We
to,
do that
to
part.
compensate?
Okay.
We'll launch back into our game here while we eat those, because that's not funny. It's just helping us.
All right. So, chocolate chaser to palate cleanse.
I'll just pass it this way.
Adam makes brownies that are illegal in a lot of states for their risk of causing what scientists are calling instant diabetes.
Yeah,
not here,
Wilfred
in
Brimley
Rita.
is my nemesis, or I'm his, one or the other.
Got the beatus. All right, so
Aluminum foil.
Tabletop Legends, episode 27, got the beatus. Or 28, whatever. Arbitrary number, got the beatus.
all right, chat's got us. Chupa translates to leather jacket. Dado is finger or thumb.
So
Leather jacket thumb. I'm still going with
But
the
why
horse.
is it menthol flavor?
I think it translates to shitty lollipop. is
Still-
what I
I'm
think it
still going
translates
with the
to.
horse.
Chupa thingy. That's what we've done tonight.
Chupacabra.
Okay.
It's a chupacabra
we chased the chupacabra, and we regretted doing so.
All right. I'm gonna eat this.
This is much better, thank you.
You just eat the whole thing at once?
No.
Oh.
I'm gonna finish this.
Are these pregnant cookies?
You mean there's something in them? Yes.
I was just say, elaborate before I finish eating.
I'm not super comfortable with that terminology. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't love it.
Oh my god, there's a
They're-
fetus
no,
in here.
They're recently evicted.
Look, I am a monster, but I'm not that kind of monster.
Leather thumb.
Look at me!
I will
We're gonna
inquire.
fight a villain named Leatherstone.
I will inquire tomorrow with my people about what the hell is going on with.
Hey.
Number one, their
Why?
candy in general, and number two, the thumb lollipop, because I have questions.
You realize you're going to step out of the room after this conversation. If you put your ear to the door, they're going to go, he actually ate it.
That's apparently the entire Mexican candy industry is just one big prank on Americans, as far as I can tell. So, after that diversion, let's return to D&D. Now that nobody can focus because we all have stomach aches.
No, you have to talk around.
It was kind of like compressed seasonal depression.
It is so. The night passes without incident. You guys are able to get some rest at the Pepper Inn. It is now the following morning. Harken should be arriving shortly to come meet up with you guys. As promised, Niles is hanging around outside the inn in the morning, like waiting to see if you guys are in need of his services and he can make some more coin off you.
I am getting breakfast because something tells me getting some kind of food before this day really begins. Probably the best idea.
Still kind of fucked up over here.
Sorry, I'm not my usual whimsical self. I ate some real weird stuff last night.
I told you not to eat off the table, not after what we did.
Gross.
That
That will be redacted from the
Allegedly.
version of this. We're gonna have to beat that. Wait, listen, YouTube's coming down real hard on these child-friendly videos.
It's weird because none of that was meat, but I'm kind of getting the meat sweats.
So that's called anaphylactic shock. You may be allergic to tamarind.
When we suddenly go from a D&D video to a talk show on doing CPR.
Tabletop Legends live tracheotomy.
All right, tighten up, people. We got. You're in the end.
I just wanna go
Neil
home
is
at this
outside.
point.
Neil. Niles is outside.
Neil. Neil is the kid next to him. It was your friend.
Niles is outside.
All right.
Harken is coming soon. What do you do? Go.
Let's go with Niles, with Neil, whatever.
Hey. How you doing, Mr. Brum? I don't remember what his voice sounded like. But now he's just a lad. How you doing, Mr. Brum?
He kind of sounded like he's from the same town.
I'm still doing that voice.
Okay,
I'm just
whatever.
making it a little jazzy
Oh,
today.
all
Sounded a
right.
lot like Rogers.
Yeah, he's from the same area as Brahms. Roughly the same.
Yeah, he's got that sort of accent, but he's also a gnomish lad, so he's sassy too.
He's a halfling. He's not a gnomish lad. He's not a gnomish lad this
He's not a
time.
gnomish. Oh, he's a halfling. I knew that. This isn't quickly falling apart around my ears at all. What can I do for you today, Mr. Brum?
I don't know that I want you anymore. You can't
No,
you don't
we're
know what
not
race you
halfway.
are.
I don't see race. I'm woke.
More like stupid.
Well, I am a street urchin. I did never go to school before.
Anyway, how would you like to make some extra coin?
That's why I'm standing here in front of this inn.
How would you like to make some extra coin doing some things that are kind of shifty?
I am perplexed, but eager to hear more.
So, did you have to see...
You guys keep your voices down.
No!
You're doing this in public.
Did you happen to see that altercation when we first showed up with that priest and the lady and the ear lady.
Oh, yep. I definitely saw that.
Yeah, so...
It's not every day you see people get... Well, it's every... I see somebody get their rear bit off every day, because I'm a street urchin, and life is hard. But I remember the incident you're speaking of, yes.
Okay, so, long story short, we gotta talk to that guy. The earbiter guy.
Oh.
Yeah, 'cause
Okay.
he might know some stuff about some other stuff, and we need to know that stuff.
Okay.
So basically, we're gonna get the lady who's the eerie bit off. I'm gonna go talk to him. We're gonna bring you along, and I essentially need you to just be yourself.
I'm very confused as to what we're talking about, but if you are paying the
He
coin...
needs you to be what we would colloquially call an accessory.
Well, not necessarily.
Do I have to put anything in my butt for this plan?
Not if you don't want
This
to.
is when ALR steps out. He hears that. He turns around. Actually, can I get a bottle for the road?
Stuff in the butt is not part of the plan. If on your own time you want to put something in your butt, put something in your butt. It's not gonna.
No, not that bottle. Yeah, that one. Yes.
He says, okay. Then, yeah, I suppose I can help.
And you don't have to use your real name. So you can just.
It's preferable that you don't.
Please don't use your real name.
So if you want to go by Neil, since you seem to be confused about that.
He's like, to be honest with you, maybe Niles isn't even my real name.
Well, if you don't want to ruin the
He's
MMO
like,
of Niles.
I'm playing 3D chess with you all right now.
Niles, you didn't even know what race you were.
That's true. That's true.
I'm forgetting the
I'm
morning.
just messing with you. I'll make up a fake name. I'll come up with one before whatever. I still don't understand what we're doing.
Essentially, you need to know that you will be playing the role of my ward.
Okay.
Oh, is that what we're not gonna stage a child fight?
No, we're not staging child. I mean, we
Okay.
can, but
I
not
mean-
with him.
He says, if you guys are interested in a child fight, I can take you to that. I told you, I know where everything is in this city.
Okay.
Niles is a
Well,
walking child.
speaking of things in the city, do you know anything about young girls who have gone missing?
Nope.
We'll be
Yeah,
fine.
get all that off. Get all that out of there. Anything that had chocolate in or around it.
I'm trying to contain the dog.
It's actually a whole chicken down there.
He says, well, I mean, a lot of parts of this city is not great places. A lot of people go missing a lot of times. Is it like specific?
People going missing and showing up real messed up and blind.
He says, I don't think I know of anything about that.
Have you seen more signs of those penitents? Those guys with the chains?
He says, you don't see them too much. He says, every once in a while, but I try to stay out of their way.
Do you have a map of the city?
He says, yeah,
Like a little scroll tube map?
it looks like this.
Well, look at the detail.
He does not have a map of the city, actually. He's an urchin. He
Okay.
has no belongings.
Is there a temple specifically to Eldath in the city?
I don't think so.
So do you want to use them as a ward, or do you want to have him go around the city and mark out where the penitents are?
I am remembering this as the dungeon master. I'm pretty sure that you guys had talked to that priestess, and she had agreed that she'd I don't have anywhere better to stay. I think that priestess is staying.
Yeah.
She is, yeah.
Okay.
We
she's
told
here.
her where we were going to be staying.
We'll make that easy because I do remember that she's here.
Okay.
She can roll up at some point while you're discussing child fights with Neil.
Yup, good timing.
She as she comes down and whoever's inside, eating or whatever, she just sort of gives you a little wave. She has her head wrap is back in place today. Looks like it's been cleaned of blood and everything. And she, thank you, goes to just get herself like a thing of porridge or whatever for breakfast. And
does Neil have a street urchin network of like contacts?
He's like, well, I can ask Neil. I'm Niles, but I can ask Neil about his friends.
Stop using the word Neil. Niles. I'm so sorry.
He says I wouldn't call it anything so specific as like a street urchin network. I mean, I know guys.
My point that I'm trying to figure out is like, I would like to figure out where the various crazy dudes are like yelling at street corners. If we can get an idea of what parts of the city like they're at currently today by the end of the day, that might be helpful to us, because if we know where they're ranting, that might narrow down where we want to look around for other groups.
That might work.
It's a thought. I mean, and then, you know, if you wanted to use him as a hostage lad to like
need
break
him
into jail.
to come with us when we go to the thing.
All right. Well, you convince him. I will see if I can convince the priestess to assist us.
We should figure out what we want assistance with first. We might want her to come with us to look at that girl.
Aniana.
Harken rolls up at this point as well. He just kind of gives you guys a nod, and he says, all right, that's a child.
Yup, he has been read into all the things that are going on.
Way to go, world's greatest detective.
All right. He says, so what's the plan? Where are we going first?
Try to talk to the priestess to see if she'll come with us to visit the girl.
And her assaulter.
She's already here, so we can just go there.
All right.
Just imagine like
Walter is also considering paying a bunch of urchins to try to find all of the penitents.
the ones that are out there today shouting about whatever they're shouting about.
And Brahm is looking to hire our friend Niles here as an accessory for whatever he plans on doing.
I'm the distraction for the guards when we get to the talk
You
to
see,
the guy.
we've been very busy.
Mr. Harken, do you happen to have or know where we can acquire a map of the city? Even if it's a rough map, just anything that we can use to like mark off locations where we've checked or...
So, I mean, if you give me about 15 minutes and a piece of parchment and a quill, I can sketch you something down.
That would be outstanding.
So he'll do that while you guys are talking to Ania. He like kind of sits down and starts.
I'd like to be as methodical about this as possible, since it's a very large city with a lot of nonsense going on.
Some of which is apparently our nonsense.
Many of which isn't. Much of which isn't.
So I guess we talk to Ania.
Sure. She's eating
I'm also
porridge.
I'm not very well educated.
She looks up as you approach her, whoever's approaching her. She says, good morning. It is good to see you again, my friends. I trust your... She looks over. Some of you are like... perhaps recently like patched and maybe slightly stained clothing. I trust your night was interesting as it would seem.
You know how the brothels are around here.
I am afraid I don't.
It's for the best.
Thanks, Walter. We were wondering if you might be willing to help us. You see, the reason that we came to the city was to assist in an investigation into a missing woman.
I see.
We believe that the group that the person who attacked you yesterday might be involved.
Oh, this is terrible news. Of course, if there is any way that I can help with the finding of missing persons or helping of someone who is in trouble, I shall do whatever I can.
Apparently, under the law here, you have the right to confront the person that attacked you to get recompense. What we would like is for one of us to go with you. We're hoping that we'll be able to get some information about where other members of this group may be in so doing.
She kind of nods. Says, but of course I can help you with this. I should certainly be able to. I don't know that I need any of this recompense, but I can tell them at least this, so that we can see the man and you may talk to him. She nods. Says, it is good, I think. Perhaps you will get the answers that you seek, and maybe he has time to calm down, and perhaps I try to talk to him again. Always worth trying to save a troubled soul.
We were also wondering if you could accompany us. There's a young lady who was taken by this group, and we're hoping to find out more information about where other individuals may have been taken.
She says, of course, I think it is not accident that our paths have crossed. It seems to me that my meeting with you is open the doors to do some good. It is the will of Eldath, I think. I would be happy to escort you today on these errands and help in whatever way I can.
So, temple first?
Temple first.
Alright.
Start with the clean and work towards the dirty.
Alrighty. So Harken is sort of like a little behind you guys and kind of like awkwardly off to the side, just like shuffling his feet while you guys have this conversation with this priestess. But once you guys get everything settled and sort of turn back to him and you know, are like, okay, we're ready. He's kind of nods businesslike and he says, okay, let's go then. Grab anything you need to grab now. We'll head out.
You need to bring Niles with us, or is this his opportunity to put out the word and meet us later?
So I'm gonna take the magic mark and show it to Niles and just say, like, figure out where on there, and then like he can point to it. Like when he gets his network done, he can point to like where roughly the cross streets are, or whatever he ends up finding.
All right.
Later down the
I'm
day.
gonna hand him a silver piece. This one's for you. 10 copper pieces. You can use this to entice people to talk.
He like sort of pushes that back towards you, and he says, I'll ask around, and I'll tell him that there's people looking to pay money, but I don't want to get mugged, so maybe hang on to your gold now, and I'll
Tell them we're paying per person they find.
Okay.
And to not engage at all. Just find and report.
Okay, we'll do.
Safe, easy, quiet.
And Harken turns to him and says, "Kid, we're gonna be at the Temple of Charity, just south of the big plaza in the Strand." And Niles goes, okay, yeah, I know where that is. I'll catch up with you guys there later then, I guess."
Good plan.
And Niles shoots off one way. Harken begins to lead you guys.
Before we leave, I run upstairs.
Okay.
And then come back down a few minutes later with essentially a duffel bag.
Okay. Does it clank ominously like it's full of crowbars?
No.
Okay.
We need chains, possibly, in case we need to get the plan to see.
I have that chain weapon. I don't know if that's gonna help.
You do have that.
Yeah, I took that.
That can work.
Close enough.
All right. Well, we'll do rock paper scissors for who wants to be the cultist later to get arrested in case we have to come to that plan. But for now, we'll just okay, fine.
Rock paper. It's a new game we've invented.
Rock, paper, Walter.
Scissors. Rock paper Walter does it.
1, 2, 3 noses, not in.
Instead of that, we just all point at
Yeah.
antlers.
We're just looking at you.
I mean,
Also, you
that's
said that like you also weren't the one who wanted to do it.
That's like Plan E.
Plan W.
You got plan A and plan B.
Plan C.
Just gonna mole man my way up the bottom.
So you follow Harken as he leads you through this upper rise of the center main part of the city, through the Strand. Doesn't take you terribly long, maybe 20, 30-minute walk-ish from like over here, where the inn is, to like over here.
Can I make a request?
What?
To use the purple one.
You don't like the green one?
It's not that I don't like it. It's my favorite color.
It's really bright.
But
It
like
is
it's
really
physically painful. Oh, thank God. Yes,
Better?
that's
That was way
Not so
better.
bad. All right.
Sorry, batteries must be fresher on that one.
The place that he leads you is a decently sized, clearly religious looking building, made mostly of granite. That is, you can tell pretty carefully, like non-denominational, non-specific to any like particular deity. Rather, it has been designed with very like sort of neutral and placid architecture, and the effigies are all generally kind of plain-looking figures in nondescript clothing, in sort of like what you would immediately assume to be like sort of peaceful and charitable and kindly sort of poses. You head inside, and there is a large antechamber inside the main portion of this building, with a reflection pool in the center of the room, around which a couple of folks are just sort of sitting on some benches that are in the area, kind of quietly reflecting. It's fairly quiet in here, fairly peaceful. There is a little bit of the sort of the sound of the water of this reflection pool kind of gently lapping against the sides. Every once in a while, you kind of hear like a and you see there are a couple of individuals who you take to be the proprietors, the caretakers, the denizens. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but they are exclusively women, from what you can see, and they're all wearing sort of these gray, very plain, very simple robes with it's very
non-denominational.
very almost like an old timey, if you imagine like an old timey nurse. They kind of look like that, and they go about. You see them like lighting candles and sweeping up and just sort of going about chores of the temple. And Harken kind of like looks to you guys. He's like, "You want me, or you want to go talk to one of them?"
Well, I thought you knew where she was.
She said he's down here somewhere, but we just gotta ask one of the matrons to bring us down there.
Oh, get out!
once again, this is where a paladin of the Order of the Radiant Dawn opens the door.
Alright.
I'm gonna take a seat and just like contemplate something else. Just try to figure out.
I will walk up to one of them.
Okay, so you walk up to a woman who is currently in the process of there's what appears to be like offering platters where people come and leave like small bits of food and coin and things like that, and she's sort of in the process of like sorting that out, and you see she's putting together what looks like they are the coin is going into its own little coffer, and any like foods and things are being she's in the process of sort of organizing them into like baskets and bundles that you get the impression probably are to be like distributed to to the needy probably.
Mm-hmm.
She looks up as you approach her, and she takes in your Radiant Dawn regalia. She smiles and says, "Oh, well, may the light guide you, Paladin. What brings you to our temple? I am Matron Besh. What is your name, dear?"
My name is Nula, and first off, and I will give 5 gold to the...
She's most
Like in her hand.
A mage hand is like hovering over
sticks
them.
it into her dress. There you go.
most
That's for you.
most generous offering. May the divine shine his light upon you. Helm, I believe it is the Order of the Radiant Dawn. She says, "Blessings upon you. We shall put this to such good use for the city. What can I help you with? How may I be of service to you?"
I heard that one of the city's own was brought here injured, a young girl that was found at the docks.
She nods. She says, "Indeed, we've been calling her Mavis. We don't know her name otherwise. She's been rather uncommunicative. A terrible, terrible fate. She's here, yes. We have her in private chambers deeper within. What is your interest, my dear?"
We're trying to see if there could be more girls like herself, and we're hoping to check on her.
She says, "Oh, of course. For one such as yourself, clearly, I would think that it might do her some good. Yes. She kind of looks at like the rest
My
of the
crew.
group is like, and Harken goes like, and she's like, Lucius, back again. Says, "You've come here with them?" And he says, "Yeah." He says, "They might, I don't know. They might get something from the girl that I didn't." And she says, "Okay. You may follow me, but when we get to her room, I think perhaps it would be best if only a few went in at a time. Best not to overwhelm the dear."
Yes.
And she kind of finishes up a little bit of what she's doing. She gestures to another one of these matrons in here, and who moves over to kind of continue what she was doing. She's, "This way, come." And as she walks you back through the temple, she says, "Yes, some kindly dark workers brought her into us. Apparently she just appeared on the docks one morning, wearing nothing more than a slip of a gown. No shoes, no cloak, nothing to protect from the cold. In much the condition that she's in now, as you'll see. We don't know what happened to her eyes. None of the remedies or poultices that we've tried seem to have any effect on them. She is quite blind from what we can tell, but even that is difficult to discern. She's not really said much of anything coherent since we've brought her in. I fear that
she repeats by chance?
she says, in the time that we've had her here, the conversations we've had, if she acknowledges or makes any motions or vocalization at all, it's been largely gibberish. Nothing that we recognize as any form of language. Something terrible must have happened to her. It's heartbreaking, really. And you guys you're now outside you've gone a little bit deeper into the temple, which you see is mostly like small chambers. There's a few what look to be like common areas where maybe the matrons who like live here congregate and sort of hang out. You pass like the break room with the coffee pot. And then there's a number of doors that just seem to be like simple chambers for either people, the matrons who live here, people who if they take care of like sick or injured or needy people, like they have almost like little hospital type rooms back here. And she brings you to one a little bit further into the chamber, and she says, "This is her room. I think maybe 3 at a time would be best. See how she handles that, and if you need anything, I shall be about. I have a bit of business to attend to throughout the temple, but myself or any of the other sisters here can certainly assist you."
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matron.
Her name's Matron.
Matron Besh.
Okay, so who, and who?
I think Anna Yana should go.
Alright. Who else?
I guess myself.
And
I'll go.
All right, so the 3 of you enter the room.
Emotional support, Weasel.
3 of you enter the room. There is a young girl sitting in a chair that somebody has like put near a window, so that a little bit of sunlight is coming in. She is wearing a similar outfit to what you saw like the matrons in. It looks a little big for her. Somebody has like rolled up kind of the sleeves a little bit. She is, you would guess, she's human. You would guess she's probably 23, 24, maybe. A woman, not a child. She is, as Harken described, slender of build, dark hair, falls to like just below her shoulder. What you can see anyway of like her exposed skin, so like her hands and kind of her wrists up to here and her neck and stuff, she does not have any marks of abuse or injury or anything like that you can see, with the exception of her eyes. Her eyes, there is like a band across almost like a visor, where a visor would be, where the skin is inflamed and irritated and looks almost as if it was seared. The eyes themselves are sort of a roomy, vacant white, and as you sort of look at them a little bit, you see they almost have like a glimmer about them, as if I'm sure somebody, like, if you hold, let's see what kind of dice set we got here. Sort of like how in this dice there's like some speckling of like glitteriness in it. There's like a sheen of that in this like sort of kind of like fluid that seems to be forming over her eyes. She does not make any indication that she notices you guys or recognizes that anybody's there as you enter the room, and she's just sort of like doing this ever so slightly. Her face is a little bit turned towards like the warmth coming in from the sun, and that's it.
I will approach.
Looking at the damage to her face, racking my brain and rolling an Arcana check on a shot in the dark, which sails wildly off.
You get a similar, like, Harken's assessment was like, this does not look like an injury that was caused by, like, mundane means. It just looks like something that was inflicted by magic. But you have never seen anything like this. You don't know what the cause of this is or what would do this. And it's just, they're very unsettling. And so as you're able to approach, you can get right up to like her seat, and she just doesn't seem aware of you.
Mavis?
Looking out the window.
Mavis, and I will try to like tap her arm.
Okay. So as you touch her, she is she feels a little cold. To your touch, you don't know if that's just because like you tend to run warm, being a dragonborn, or whether she's just like doesn't have great circulation. But as you touch her, she actually does turn her head just a fraction of an inch, kind of like in, not necessarily in like towards you, but more towards like the sensation of like where you touched her.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
She does not respond.
What did the penitents do to you? But it's half turns up and half turn her.
And Ania kind of moves over, and she sits down like on the floor in front of the girl's chair. As you guys have this conversation, he says, "It is like nothing I have seen before. I do not know this damage." She looks to you and she says, "Perhaps you can, for her eyes as you did for..." She gestures towards her ear. "Would it help, you think?"
I can try. And I will attempt to heal her for 5 points.
Okay. So you place your hand. Where are you placing your hand as you lay on hands here? I mean, like.
Can I do like?
Yeah, you can. So you sort of, kind of gently put your forefinger, your middle finger, and your thumb sort of over her brow.
Poke her.
Yeah, you Three Stooges. You just, and she goes like this,
Yeah.
and then you go like this.
Yeah.
You lay on hands. You think maybe some of the irritation around the area seems to be soothed by this, but her eyes themselves and like her vision does not seem to be affected. She does give as sort of the radiant magic sort of flows from you into her. She gives kind of like a shiver as if touched by something very cold.
Probably is a reaction to what happened to her. Magic probably is a bit scary to her now.
I could try to heal her for more, but I'm not sure if it would regain her sight.
And he kind of looks. She says, "It is perhaps something else that has been done to her. I don't know."
I'm gonna put Scooter down on her lap and put one of her hands over.
Okay.
Please, just like before.
So you put the ferret, or the weasel, celestial weasel, into the girl's lap, and you kind of put her hand on him, and there's no reaction at first, and after a few moments, Ania just sort of starts humming. It's not a tune that you recognize as anything specific. It's just sort of a quiet melody. She is in the process of, she's like working at the hem of this dress that they have put on her. It's, as it's like a little long, she's kind of working on like, she's just kind of folding it up, tucking it, making it so that it, it's fits a little better, lays a little better, and just sort of humming to herself as she does this. And she sits there, humming, fiddling with the hem of this dress, Scooter the weasel in her lap, you guys kind of around her. And after a few moments, you see her finger on Scooter's back just sort of, and she stirs a little, and you see her lips moving, and at first nothing comes out, and after a few moments again she intones, and it just sounds like gobbledygook. She just kind of like, and as you guys are kind of around her, Ania just acts as if nothing is happening, continues about her business, and after a moment you hear something interspersed in the mumbling that you pick out as a word. And she goes, lavender.
Was that a pet thing? Did you have a dog, a cat?
She goes,
a scent. Smell of lavender?
She's sort of swaying from side to side now. And this goes on for a few minutes. Most of what is coming out of her mouth is nonsense. Every once in a while, a word or two slips out that is understandable. She's sitting there for a while. You hear nothing unintelligible, and then you hear not.
To tie a knot? Do not?
And she doesn't respond. She continues. It gets unintelligible again. And as things are going on, she seems, a lot of what she's saying still doesn't seem to make sense, but she seems to be becoming more lucid. She doesn't necessarily seem aware of you guys specifically, but she's moving more. She's become more animated. She says, "Won't be long now."
What's coming?
And she stops moving altogether. She sits stock still, and it actually, something about this, even Ania stops her humming and looks up, and she goes, "Don't look at it. Don't look at it."
Okay.
And then, just as soon as this moment comes, it passes again, and she sinks back into her kind of comatose state. But now you see her lips are moving just ever so slightly. You lean in, and you have to almost put your ear to her mouth to hear. And she's just repeating one word over and over again. She's just going, Lantern, 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 lantern. And she continues to do this, and you spend some more time with her. After a while, she does stop repeating the word lantern. She goes back to her previous position, kind of head turned towards the window a little bit, stops petting Scooter, and it becomes apparent after a while that, like, you're not going to get anything else out of her.
Okay, I will carefully throw Scooter back.
If I can find a blanket from the bed, I'll put.
Sure, yeah, he's
We were presumably outside the.
You
room,
probably
but we
heard
probably could have heard
part of this.
I guess responses, not the thing she whispered.
I mean, like, you guys definitely from the hallway heard, "Don't look at it, don't look at it, don't look at it." Most of the rest of it was probably just like, if you even were able to hear her vocalizing, just like mumbles.
Right.
Alright, I will exit the room. Harken, is there a place that's well known for selling lavender?
He shrugs and he moves aside as a woman in matron's robes kind of like passes by you carrying a tray with a pitcher and like a cup, and goes into the girl's room, and he says, not especially. I mean, florist shops have it this. Not a lot this time of year. I mean, there's some greenhouses around, but
And any groups or buildings with that title
he
or in the name?
shakes his head. He seems to be thinking, and I believe after you, Kel has the highest passive, right?
Perception?
Yeah.
Mine is 13.
Mine is...
Yours is very high, but you're actively engaged in a conversation with Harken. Whose is the second highest after Kel's? Or after Alar's?
I have 10, so no.
Mine's 11, so it's not me.
I'm pretty sure it's Kel.
It's either Nula, because she should be high Wiz stat. So, her stats and abilities. Abilities and saves, I mean.
The wrong sheet. Yes.
Wait, isn't that a passive? Passive perception?
Yes.
12.
Okay, so Kel's is the second highest. And I'm gonna say, in addition to having the second highest passive perception, especially the reason that you notice this is because you are much lower to the ground than everybody else. As Harken and Alar are discussing, and they're just talking about, like, what do you think lavender meant? What is that? That matron that brushed past you guys and went to her room. Because you are so low to the ground, you had a much closer view of, like, her ankles than the others. And you noticed, as she had to kind of, like, turn to sidestep around Harken and, like, make kind of that sideways shuffle, the hem of the robe that she was wearing kind of, like, shifted up her leg a little bit, exposing, like, a little bit above the ankle and, like, part of the calf. And as it did, and she slipped into the room, you kind of, like, for a second, you're like, and it, like, clicks in your head 3 or 4 seconds later. What you saw when that hem, like, slipped up a little bit were clear signs of some older, some recent, partially healed lash marks. As if inflicted either by someone else or, like, self-flagellating.
Did it look similar to what we had seen on the other penitents?
Yup.
Okay.
Howard Scorching Chaos Bolt.
No. So I'm going to quietly get Brahm's attention and just say, I think she might be a penitent, and I'm going to make a hopefully not terrible decision. Be aware if things go sideways. I'm going to cast Detect Thoughts.
Okay. Do you have to see the person to do this? Give me some descripts.
Just imagine like Baby Yoda, like.
For the duration, you can read the thoughts of certain creatures. You can focus your mind on any creature that you can see within 30 feet of you.
Okay, so you would have to like.
Yep, that's fine. I'll step into the doorway.
You lean into the doorway and you see the matron has set the tray down. She has poured some of the water that was in the pitcher into the cup, and she is like in the process of lifting it to the comatose girl's mouth. And as you does she need to make any type of save, or you just do it? All right, what's her save?
DC 15.
DC 15. She rolls a 2. And her modifier is a plus 16. No, I'm just kidding.
We have found the end boss.
And now we die.
You step in, and she has her back to you as she is like bringing this glass of water to the girl's lips. And as the spell washes over, and you begin to filter the surface thoughts off of this person, begin to filter to you. What you hear is, "Soon, dear, you failed the test. It was not for you to continue. You shall go to the Void God soon." And she begins to tip
so
the
I'm
glass
going to,
into the girl's mouth.
just like fall into her.
Okay. Make a. Just roll D20. We don't got much time left.
It's the
There you
I was
go.
gonna say, also,
Golden D20.
because he told me to be on alert, I see him make an action, and I am instantly throwing a crowbar at the back of this lady's head.
Oh, no.
Yes, you make an attack roll. You nat 20, so that's cool.
Because I don't know that tiny Cal falling on her is going to do enough.
I feel like I'm like looking at like.
I was trying to like knock it out of her hand or something, not like murder her.
That's a 19.
Nice.
Plus.
That's fine. You got it.
Yeah, I assume. I don't know what it is.
I'm walking with Harken, all of a sudden I just went behind me. Bro, just
Put Taylor, excuse me. Boom.
Kel, you hear the thoughts as she tips this glass towards the girl's lips, and she says, "Go now to the void." And you just like hurl yourself across the room, and you slam into her like her waist, and she is knocked off course. The cup like topples sideways from her hand, spills like all over the front of the girl's like garments or dress. And as you kind of like knock her off balance, you get the cup away from the girl's mouth. She doesn't fall over until
Beating the side of the head by a crowbar.
until you guys are kind of tangled up in limbs, and all of a sudden you just hear clang, and Brahm's crowbar just like domes her in the side of the head, and it just. The way that the tangle works out, it's essentially like you guys pulled a schoolyard move where you got like
One of us got behind it and the other one
like this, and then Brahm just like cracked her in the side of the head with the crowbar, and she just falls over the girl's chair into like a
But I'm
heap
still in the doorway.
on the floor. And I guess at this point, what you hear via detect thoughts is. Ow, my goddamn head, I just got hit with a crowbar.
Ow, was that a crowbar? Ow.
holy crap! What the hell? People
You get to experience the exact
thinking,
surface
holy
thoughts of
shit,
someone
holy
being
shit, the sword
cracked in the
was
side of the head
my
with a
head.
crowbar.
I'm gonna look at Harken and just say, I guess I'm gonna have to cast that spell again.
Yeah.
She does not appear dead. She does hit the ground. She's like definitely like ah, very dazed.
wait.
She needs to be restrained now. She is a penitent.
Alar pulls out
I'll
his
lumber over her.
hand crossbow and
Yeah, like everybody
drag her
just
up and-
descends, and you guys are able, you just pull up and you have her kind of like by the arms restrained. A very like very confused. If a person
come
could be
from?
like, if a person could be like a crazy fanatical cultist, but also very concussed, that's the face that she's making.
Can I spell the rest of the picture?
Yeah.
Does it spell again?
Make a
Sounds like a picture.
medicine check.
15 plus things.
Yeah, just 15.
Smells a little not like it's just water to you. I don't know what Walter's like proficiency with poisons is.
This smells like not
But
just
you're
water.
like-
Well, he's embalmed people before, so...
It's
Does it smell
not,
like formaldehyde?
It smells like
I'm now dead.
water doesn't smell like this
Okay,
scent.
that's fine.
I like to think it smells like not just water.
I can't believe it's not.
I can't believe it's
He
not
picks up
water.
the picture. He's like, as I suspected, this is poisoned.
Yes. Tastes like I might die.
So as you haul this lady to her feet, and she begins to her eyeballs finish like rattling around in her skull, and she sort of comes a little bit to her senses. We finish tonight's session.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Guys around the things.
Part 4. We're going to. This is our longest mini arc yet in the 2 that we've done. Cool.
I have a pencil today.
I also need. I don't know where the box of golf pencils.
Oh, I smell this
Excellent.
one.
So, if you are still with us
Do you wanna
tonight,
use that
thank
one?
you for staying with us. Here's a
Yeah,
pencil.
I don't want to keep it.
Thank you for sticking with us through tonight's episode. We are doing the Golden D20, which is the thing we do at the end of every episode, where the cast votes for somebody that they thought did a super cool thing, or had a funny joke, or something awesome, and otherwise deserves to have a free nat 20 that they can use on any roll of their choice in the following episode. So you guys just saw Kelly use it for his flying body slam of this lady before she poisoned the girl. If there are any suggestions from chat, we are happy to receive them. Go ahead and type them in. You have until these guys hand me theirs and I read them out to give a shout out to somebody who you thought deserves praise for tonight.
Okay, I'll read that, but whatever.
In the event of a tie, chat and or me breaks the tie.
There's your pencil there.
There you go. Do I have them all? No, I'm waiting for
I
it.
didn't put the hat back on, right?
It's okay. I'll fix it later.
There, last one.
Is that the most important thing that we could be doing right now, Jason?
Yeah.
I got voted.
Walking off screen at the
Walking off screen, we only have 1 second left. Anyway, Walter, for getting ahead on the investigation.
Ugh. I know who that one was.
I hate it. The most shocking thing about this was that it was all legible.
Yeah.
Brahm, for fast thinking plan A. Was it plan A or was it plan
There's
B?
plan A.
Okay.
Crowballs are always playing.
They're not individually labeled. Plan A is just whatever
Whichever
one comes
one
out
you
first.
throw first.
Whichever one
Got
comes out first.
Got it.
Edgar is always the one in the hole.
That's right. We have Kel for catching treachery afoot. I can't believe this is what we're doing tonight.
What? That wasn't supposed to be a pun.
Oh. Well, you tripped her up. I assumed it was another
No.
I mean, that's what her scars were.
a head and a foot. Yeah.
There you go. And it was a pun.
And we have what may be my favorite vote. Brahm, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Which does mean Brahm has 3 votes, which means he has the golden D20. And chat also votes for Brahm. Brahm for crowbar to the back of the head.
Let it.
Alrighty, thank you for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors, Marble Moon Studio, The 8th House, Little Dragon Corp, the Twitch affiliate program, Many-Sided
Special
Dice.
not thank you to Mexican Candy.
Not thank you to Mexico for making...
Well, this one wasn't bad.
Chupa thingy, chupadillos. Not okay. Not okay at all, Mexico.
Tune in next week to see if we lived.
Did
Some
we
of
have...
us may not make it, but this is a sacrifice that
We have no phase manifesto. Amazingly managing to type something that didn't immediately get caught by the profanity filter for once in his goddamn life.
What did he say?
He just says your butt.
There we go. Who was the vote from chat from?
Michael.
Okay. I thank you personally, Michael.
So thank you for joining us. Let me look at the schedule here. So next week is the 17th, which we should have a regular episode. I am pretty confident that part 4 of this story arc should be our last part of this. I think we'll probably wrap this up. I mean, it depends how much faffing you guys do, but
What us?
There's a lot of heads attached to a lot of bodies. It's fine.
I think probably
You're
it
gonna
will
look
be
to separate a few of them.
it will be the
From these
conclusion of
puppets.
this story arc, and then our plan is to try and get together on an off day between now and the following week. Which Tuesday is Christmas Eve.
we
What?
We do maybe have something already for Christmas.
We maybe have something already for Christmas. I actually have a one shot that I created specifically for Christmas this year. So if we can get something together to record it and release it so that there still is a show on the 24th, that's what we're going to try and do. Which would be when we would be doing our gift exchange that we really struggled through last week, pulling the names for. So stick around for that. There is definitely an episode next week, and I am like 99% confident that there will be something the week after. Not that, it's Christmas Eve. If you're somebody who celebrates Christmas, don't watch our show on Christmas Eve. Just live your life and be with your family.
If you got nothing better to do, then watch the show.
Unless
You
your
can do
uncles,
that.
unless
You
you
know
got a
what?
bunch of real racist uncles over at the house,
Watch
watch
the
our show.
Watch the show with your family.
Yeah,
Problem
have
solved.
all your family over and play them Tabletop Legends.
That's right. We are very popular with the 85 to 90 demographic.
Yeah, they really
Weirdly.
just sit down in front of the screen and die. So
Captive audience.
they leave the viewership running.
Or just
We have a vote. I did miss it before. We have a vote in chat for the DM getting the nat 20, which
Not how it works.
established.
God, no.
Yeah, he already rolls enough.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah,
want
crits.
to. You don't want to give me that type of power.
Here's a legendary save against your counterspell.
Anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you to our sponsors. Please follow and subscribe. Proficiency bonus for us and everybody else's super duper content. Please find us on Facebook, on Instagram, you can find us on Twitter. Nobody uses our Twitter account, so,
Does anybody really use Twitter anymore in general?
Twitter is dead. You heard it here first. And
TikTok.
most important, TikTok.
You won't find us there.
We have an account there.
We
just...
we need to.
I made it, and I immediately realized that I don't have the youthful vitality to make it happen.
We need to hire like a 13-year-old to be our official
We need to hire a
do it,
child.
yeah.
And cancel.
If you're a 13-year-old, send me a private message after this. I got some stuff I want to talk to you about.
Oh,
Cancelled.
no.
Canceled.
Oh.
No, don't do that. Thank you.
Is that the FBI I see?
Join us next week on Tabletop Legends, where there won't be a
Child.
show because we are all under investigation for being not child friendly. I think that's it.
Wow,
right?
that was Merry Christmas.
Not yet. 2 more weeks and then Merry Christmas.
Christ.
What did I don't know. I got derailed again.
think
Follow
we're done,
everything.
yeah.
Subscribe. Smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
We'll be back.
Smash it.
We
hope.
will be back. Allegedly.